Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 87 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back. I'm Ben, and once again, I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben. How you doing, BT?
Hello, hello. I'm back. I had a bye week, and the venue has changed.
You did have a bye week. You have had a venue change. Last week we dragged kicking and screaming Triple Powell himself, and we didn't let him go. So Trips, how are you today?
I'm all good. I'm like a rolling one. Once you start, you can't stop.
Oh, it's still too soon, Ian. It's still far too soon. That game. Yeah. We'll come back to that. That always comes haunting. Anyway, yeah, it's been a really busy month since the last couple of podcasts. Ben, you moved house. We had some tournaments. It's been crazy. The Bonehead Podcast tournament curse continues, and we've now got severe weather warnings, which is absolutely not a coincidence anymore. I love conspiracy theories, but I'm convinced that we're living inside one. Yeah, I feel like we'll probably talk about that as well. Anyway, guys, what are we talking about on episode 87?
Today we're going to be talking about said Doom tournament, which was actually a really good time, so it was actually fine. No, we'll be pretty much running through the tournament details, who played what, who won what, which was honestly really good fun. So that's going to take up probably the whole podcast, but we'll also have the usual news and hobby too.
That's right. That's exactly right. We had two tournaments on one weekend, so we're going to do two segments, one for each tournament, and really just talk about how much fun we had. Anyway, we'll go straight into news. Okay, so Blood Bowl news time. In the world of Games Workshop, it's been, I don't know, guys. Has it been busy? Has it not been busy? There was a spike. There was literally a spike, wasn't there? A spike happened when a spike came out, and loads of models got previewed and released and awarded. And then it really, this year so far, the biggest thing to happen is the Norse preview and the Goblin Star players, right? Have I missed anything else in the last 2 weeks?
Was it the preview, or was it just like they're kind of coming because the Yetis it?
Well, do you know what?
Is that all we've had accidental spill?
Well, what, the Norse bit? Yeah, I mean, with the Goblin Star players, I completely missed that they're up for pre-order yesterday, as the podcast comes out Saturday, so they're up for pre-order now. Trips pointed this out, and I was like, oh, I've missed this. I'm just so used to it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just so used to them saying, hey, here's a model. You might buy it one day. One day, tell your kids about the Croxagore because they're gonna love it, And but no, Trips pointed out that the goblins are up for pre-order now, and they do come in a pack. There were some guys who were at the. Did you know there was a Blood Bowl event at the same weekend as Beachhead? I'd missed this. Yeah, there was a Bugman's Bash, in Warhammer World, and some of the prizes, I think, or some of the spot prizes, or I don't know if that's how Games Workshop work, or whether it's just you can buy this early. But some people picked up the pack, and in a blister, you get both the Goblin Star players.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is good. We were waiting to find out whether that was going to be the case or not.
We expected it would.
Yeah.
So that's good.
It would have been.
It'll be a bit. A pill to swallow, but I'm one at a time.
Yeah. I mean, right, but where do you draw the line? I want to go into this in undue negativity, but you guys have seen the Forge World scroll, right?
Yeah.
He's got less mass than a halfling catcher, less mass than a goblin. Like the goblin with a chainsaw that comes in the 3-pack, way less resin. Probably way more resin, sorry. Probably less parts. Scroll came in about 13 parts. But I don't know. This one's all right, where you get two for one. That's okay. Buy one, get one free on your Goblin Star players. Is positive. Anyway, Goblin Stars are out this weekend, but you guys did some digging, and we've got some other bits and bobs kicking around, but it's mostly like stuff that's coming. So one bit was the Vortice miniatures. They're doing a Drakenblood Knighters Vampire Kickstarter, and on their Facebook page, there is, and let me just check the screen to make sure that we are, there we go, zoomed in as we can be, have you guys seen the previews for their vampire team?
Oh, is this the Red Dragon Knights?
It is,
Red
yeah.
Dragon Knights.
Red Dragon Knights.
Wow, what a load of detail.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a really good point, actually. Can I do this? I can do this. So if we
Are
zoom
these
in.
printed or are they resin miniatures?
So Vortice recently, Kickstarter wise, they did the. What was their most? And we're recording. Okay, so at the beginning of the podcast, we said, ha ha ha, our events always come with weather warnings, and at one point in time, a global pandemic. Not saying we're responsible, just that the timing of our events falls pretty horribly around. What did we have? We had floods, we had snow, we had torrential heat wave. That was brutal. That tournament was very brutal.
Oh, that was
Bad.
that was moist.
It was soggy. It was a soggy tournament. Then we had Beachhead, where we were all, like 2 years ago, we were all kind of looking at the news about the issue in China, and we were like, oh wow, I wonder what's going to happen there. And 2 years later, we're back at Beachhead, and we get severe weather warnings, and everyone's like, no, don't go to school. And then my power went out in the middle of recording this because I live in the New Forest, where we have electricity, but it's mostly powered by wishes. And my wishes ran out. So we are back, and we are talking about vampires. And during the break, we educated Ben on some of the fineries of Judge Dredd and the Death Judges, because one of the pieces of art, or one of the bits of the vampire kit from the Vortice miniatures, has properly got a Judge Death helmet. You got to question the actual shape of this dude's like actual head, but I mean, he seems to be
a vampire.
Yeah, he seems to be doing pretty well. But I think before we were taken off air significantly and plunged into darkness for a brief, split, terrifying second, where just the after image of the podcast was burned into my retinas as I felt around to try and figure out what the heck was going on. We're talking about the level of detail on these, and yeah, I think you guys are right. It's got to be resin. Got to be resin cast. The Greeblood prints are very detailed, but this is, I don't know, this is like,
it's not like sculpted detail so much as it is like texture detail, which obviously is still sculpted, but how well that comes out on that scale, and after you've done the masters and you've cast it and things like that, it is, casting's really good at capturing detail still, but you get that really is it worth it? And when you've painted it, is it really going to show? That's my only concern.
I'm with you. There's one guy who's holding what looks like the head from the bus in Harry Potter, and on his armor, he's got what can only be described as a 1960s carpet scheme.
Yeah.
And I think, one gentle coat of primer, and that's probably gone.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just need to rattle a can of Agrax near it, and all that detail is going to go away.
That being said, detail's good because it does give the option of printing at a higher scale. So if you did want these at large scale, they're going to scale up beautifully.
Awesome.
That's what I was going to say, is these models with their size and their shapes, and I know we were joking about Judge Dredd, but they've got like a real you guys have been in Forbidden Planet, right? Where you go in there and you look at all the board games, and then they've got these glass cabinets with a bunch of Batmans that are like £85. These guys have got that quality to them in their posing, in the level of detail. It's incredibly impressive. They're kind of monkeyish, like simian in look. I think the faces are for the vampires.
Yeah, I'd kind of see that.
Half lizard, half thing. I don't know. I like it. You can definitely tell it's Vortice, but I mean, if you look at the work they did with the Tomb Kings one, and then look at this, there is some leveling up here. Like, this is unnecessary sculpting quality. The Vortice stuff before was kind of novelty.
This is definitely the top tier, and I mean,
Yeah.
if you wanted a vampire team now, this looks like straight to the top of the pile of options, as long as they come out like that and you're willing to
even
spend a lot of time painting trim.
Yeah. Just a bit of a dry brush, it'll be fine. The Punga vampires, awesome stuff, but this is a very different army. So you guys called it out that it's the Red Knight vibe, and it definitely looks like if you're an old school Warhammer Fantasy Battle player, this is what's the Red Dragons bloodline. It's really quite cool. Really cool. We don't know any specifics on when the Kickstarter's going live or anything like that, and we'll do our best to try and get a hold of some of the models ahead of it, see if we can't do a video review, because the team is looking pretty cool so far. And yeah, one to watch, I guess. Next up on the list, we had Brute Fun with the Minotaur, Ben, that you stumbled across the other day. Is that right?
Yeah. So I saw him upload this on Reddit, and I had to share it. It's definitely. I mean, he said Minotaur star player, big Grashnak vibes from him. I saw the classic like shoulder pad and things like that.
Oh yeah.
But my word, as Minotaurs go, as you said, Trips for the other one, I think straight to the top of the pile. I think this is so good. It's so Blood Bowl. It's so on theme. Absolutely nailed it. And I know we like Brute Fun. We had him on the podcast a couple of episodes ago.
John's awesome.
Awesome sculptor. Really like pure hobbyist. And this is just great to see.
What did you say? Like, what did you say the reason was that he sculpted this?
We wanted a break from the high elves.
Wanted a break from the high elves.
I'll have a break and just knock out a Minotaur.
I'll just bored of sculpting elves for now.
The best Minotaur that exists.
Yeah,
for Blood Bowl.
This is really, really, really cool. Now this is what $3.50. I bought the STLs this morning. I was going to get them on print, but then I realised I actually ran out of gloves, so I had to wait for my Amazon delivery to turn up. And the file's called Grash. So
is it called Grash?
Yeah,
okay,
the actual individual STLs are called Grash, and I was like, yeah, absolutely bang on. So Brute Fun does excellent models. They fit with the Blood Bowl vibe really, really well on. It's not difficult to find good 3D STL of Minotaurs. There are billions of them.
This is true.
But this has just got, I think you guys got it. He's got the shoulder pads. He's got that Blood Bowl vibe. This will fit in perfectly with the Chaos team. This will fit in with the Chaos team probably better than the Jason Statham Games Workshop one.
I totally agree. It's really got Chaos team fun.
Now, I'm very glad that when we interviewed John, we did ask him, like, how much would it take? Like, if Games Workshop offered you a job, would you take it or not? And he said, no, I would not. So the good thing is we'll at least have John free for a while until Games Workshop come along and gazump in. Anyway, yeah, this is an STL only file, so if you are a 3D printer, you can grab it. It is not supported. I think you'll have to support it yourself. But generally what happens on Reddit is someone supports it and then shares it back with him and says, hey, I've supported this, it works really well, please, knock yourself out. That's what happened, I think, with the Black Orc team. I'm really waiting for that to happen with the Lizardman team. I've supported them myself and they've been okay, but man, it's just easier filling. I just like to play print things Tetris, I think, more than I like to play Architect. But yeah, cool bit of news there from Brute Fun. Then we had Wire Games, or Waya Games, spelt like Gaia with a W, used to be WA Games, and they're working on an Amazon team at the moment, and they've been sharing some of their sculpts. And there's a couple of bits in there that I really like the look of. You've seen the one with the skull face on what appears to be a thrower?
Yeah, what sort of the bird skull? Like the avian sort of skull?
Yeah, it looks like a big crow skull. This is looking pretty good, and Amazons can fall into the trap of being very tropey, I think is probably the polite way of saying it. Mm-hmm. And these look like feral people. They're not completely ridiculously dressed. They look like they're jungle warriors in every kind of way. Oh, and they're supporting the NAF bid from Alicante in Spain, which is interesting.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. We'll have to talk about the NAF World Cup in a second. But yeah, this is looking pretty good. I'm going to give them a shout, see if we can get hold of some of these models and when it comes around to the Kickstarter, because we've had a look at the last two of theirs. Their casting quality I've found to be excellent, and assuming this is going to be like they've done with their other Kickstarters, then the models are going to come out looking exactly like the sculpts, and if the sculpts are your style, then this is pretty good. And I mean, how do you guys feel about this? We've seen the spoiler for Norse, and with Games Workshop's release schedule, that makes me feel way safer about picking up an Amazon team. It makes me way more interested.
I agree. It's like we we've definitely said before, I think if they weren't going to do two teams, it would be Amazon and Norse, just because of the sort of real world connotations and things like that. It's still based on like culture, and that might be a dangerous thing to touch. But now they're doing Norse. Yeah, I think we'll definitely see Amazon at some point in the future. I don't know if either team are going to be the same as they are. Like Norse might be a bit different, Amazon's might be a bit different. So there's that little skepticism in my mind of like, if I do get an Amazon team now, is it going to be the same Amazon team? But I think there's probably nothing that will change which will make it drastically different than just, if they add a new position, or give one a different color t-shirt or something.
Yeah, that works brilliantly. You've always got the base edge technique as well. We just paint the color of the bedge and the color of the base edge.
I like the bedge.
What do you reckon, Trips? The bedge? Paint the bedge?
Well, I think if you're going in on a team that hasn't been updated, it's best to get as much and as many of the positionals and as you can, because you can then, as you said, play around with it if they do tweak the team. If you go for a simple 11 or 13 players, you are going to get caught probably by a positional switcheroo.
Yeah, somewhat limited.
Those minis look really nice and they're really well done. We've seen a lot of Amazon teams that are maybe not quite as family friendly. These ones look very safe to play in all environments.
And at Beachhead, we did see saw quite a few Amazon teams, and I think we see an Amazon team piloted by a little Amazon of our own. I think one of the days, yeah, and it's cool, and that's something that actually I think is quite important, is having a team that speaks to people but does so in a way that is a good representation of the family friendly fun that killing people on a Blood Bowl pitch is all about. Strange society, but I'm on board with it. Looking like a pretty cool one, so gonna have to keep an eye out for that from Wire Games. Wire, I can't get it right. Gaia with a W. Right.
Like
Where? Succubus Studio, they're the guys who did that really kind of the infamous vampire team now, haven't they? And they have put out, I don't know if we've seen any of the models yet, but there is
no models yet.
Sevens team coming, which very much looks like it's going to be Wood Elves with a hint of Batman Forever. In there.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, Wood Elves and cheerleaders by the looks of things.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. There is another Wood Elf team that's kicking around. I just saw it during the power cut, actually, because I was flicking through. I didn't take a note of where it was, but there was two catchers, and they were what's the goat people, but not beastmen, like half elf with goat legs. Satyr.
Oh yes,
yeah. Satyr. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, they look like them. Satyr. I don't know if it's going to be the Sevens team or not, but there might be another Wood Elf team kicking around. But
okay,
again, one to watch. So that's what, like 3-4 Kickstarters we've got to keep an eye out for. And there's one more we've got on the list as well, which is the Chibi Bowl from Akaro Dice. This, I mean, this is definitely in the same market as the Grebo miniature stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, this looks like a little bit of fun, completely out of scale, deliberately. Miniatures with huge heads. Bit more cartoony. Yeah.
Definitely market for it.
This, okay, if you're listening to the podcast and you're like, what does this look like? The best way I can describe this, there's two ways to describe it. The first would be to say, if Clash of Clans was Blood Bowl, this is the kind of thing I think most of these guys here would fit in nicely on one of the TV adverts. What's that? What was the little chibi game? The little Simon game that had little chibi dudes running around? Arcadia Quest? Like that kind of...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Super fun. Dungeon Explore. That kind of chibi vibe. And I don't know. I think it's fun. I mean, we've got the animal teams from Grebo, the Cutimal teams that kind of go for this cartoony, over-exaggerated size. And the chibi team here, especially with the little Groot dude... and the little ogre, I think this is really cool. I think this is a really interesting way to kind of... I can see this being quite popular with younger players. Like, you get a little chibi Sevens team.
Just thinking that. I was thinking Wonder if I can persuade a nearly 4-year-old that this is the thing to get her into Blood Bowl.
Oh, the little chibi troll slayer is amazing. Look at that. Oh, I like that. I think that's quite cool. I'm actually quite excited for this. This is just it's a really cool thing. There's a new style for Blood Bowl. There's some of the animals, the Cutamores teams and things like that. But actually, the great thing about Blood Bowl is you can use anything. You can even use a Lego, right? You can use basically any model, and this is like another cool style.
Yeah.
I've not seen any Akaro teams before, so it might be. I don't know what the price point's going to be, but I don't know. What do you guys reckon?
I got no. I think yeah, I'm the same with you. I've not seen one before. I think if all the models shown here is like the full Kickstarter, it's probably not going to be too much.
Yeah, it'll be.
I mean, I think it's a lot. I mean, I've got the Leprechaun team myself, and they're a bit of fun.
Is it
A bit.
Akaro?
No, but it's that style, isn't it? That over exaggerated
okay.
chibi style. Yeah, that's cool. And again, another one to keep an eye out for. There's just a lot kicking around, which I think is really, really, really cool.
We were just saying that while you were putting 50p in the meter again. Is
I was plugging the wires back in.
About Blood Bowl is you very rarely see people turn up with the same teams because there are just so many third-party teams that are really good, and that makes it a really bit of fun when you see a tournament full of teams and spend most of your time looking at what people have done rather than how bad they're bashing you.
You're right. I mean, with the strength and the selection of third-party teams out there, I actually think it's a huge testament to Games Workshop when you see multiples of a type of one of their teams. Like the Snotling team is, you will see multiples of that team because I don't think there is a Snotling team out there that's better than it. But almost every other race, someone's got like an alternate sculpt they like. If you're a Skaven player, you're always kind of eyeing out for other Skaven stuff. If you're like Black Orcs, you might be running Brute Fun or Grebo. For like Dwarves, there's 100 different Dwarf teams. So it's really cool, and it's a bit of a testament when they pull it off. But yeah, having those different ones is really, really cool. So a couple of bits. This one's great. I like this. Couple of bits to go over. There is a tournament down the road from us called the School of Hard Blocks. This is being run by a guy called Travis, or Duffins, who won our Stunty Cup at Bonvember, actually. Goblin mad person, this. So, hey, Ben and friends. First, I'd like to share my appreciation for the Bonehead Podcast. Thanks for the entertainment you provide via your many podcast episodes and videos. Can I be very, very cheeky and ask for a short plug of my first Blood Bowl tournament, School of Hard Blocks Tournament 1, taking place in Blocksworth Social Club, Dorset, from 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, the 12th of March. It's one day.
No, you can't.
Yeah, definitely can. Definitely. It's a bit of a surprise we don't get more people asking to share their tournament info.
Yeah, feel free because it's like we love to see
hugely.
Honestly,
and we may even be able to come.
As well, that's what I mean. Like if we don't know about it and we're free, we might end up being there. So,
right, £15 for a ticket, 1.15 million with 160k for skills. No tiering and no star players except for stunty teams. Duffins goes on to say it's not in Toyment, but it is at least in the south of England. For an idea where Blocksworth Village is, it's roughly halfway between Poole and Dorchester. I've got the link for Talk Fantasy Football where it's on, which is in the show notes below. But this was pretty cool. The clincher is that I'm making crochet goblins, ogres, and such as special prizes. I've got a picture here as well. If that's not the sort of thing you guys do, then no biggie, understand. I thought I'd ask regardless, but would love to get some more people down there, maybe even yourselves. At the very least, I got to share my appreciation of the podcast. Many thanks, Travis. Awesome. I mean, we love tournaments, so this is great to see and great to hear, especially if it's only down the road. Now, I cannot make it because I will get murdered by my wife, because on the 5th, I'm playing Heresy, I think. Potentially, and then on the 19th playing Dungeon Bowl all day with at least Milton. So if I 3 Blood Bowl weekends in a row,
Risky.
yeah, I know, can't be risking that. But I got a picture of the crochet goblins and ogres up here, and that is just so good. So I won't be able to come, but we can probably get some prize support down there. So I'll drop Travis a message, because it's a very cool thing to have, and it's great to see more Blood Bowl tournaments. I don't know, March the 12th, 1.15 with 160k for skills, with no tiering and no star players. What would you guys take in that? That's basically a 1300 TV team at that point, with 1.15 for buying stuff and then skills. I always find that that's quite a lot of money, actually. Skaven and Underworld, but then you don't get Hackflem, so Underworld don't need that much money. Skaven do really well at 1500, at 1150. You get a full whacker team, 3 rerolls, thrower, 4 gutters, and a roger for 150 on top. So 1.15 Skaven. I mean, I'm obviously inclined to go Skaven, but that gets you the roger, and then you get 160k skills, which is a couple of block gutter runners. Accurate thrower.
I'm thinking also, I know I'm probably because it's the most recently I'm familiar with, but nobility at that point is really good, because I'm pretty sure you can get every position at that point. Normally, if you want to take an ogre, you're giving up a couple of bodyguards, but with all of that money, I think you can get the lot.
Yeah. Can you? You might not be able to afford the 3rd reroll, but then you can always just have a leader caddy to chuck it in on there. Yeah. So the troll, 4 wrestlers, 4 blockers, 2 throwers, 2 to 3 rerolls, and then you've got the leader caddy there as well, which is only going to be 20k. Giving you 7 skills to put around. That's a couple of guard. That's guard on the ogre as well. That's obviously kick. Yeah, I like that. That's a pretty good tournament level. That'd be really interesting to see how that goes. What team would you take, Trips? Ooh, Trips, I've lost your volume. I've lost your voice.
Maybe we'll turn the mute off. That'll help. The phrase of the nowadays. I think nobility is a good call, because I think the skills package could really help them. I'd be quite tempted with no stars to see what kind of inducement package some of those stunty teams could rack up, because actually they might really be able to get a little bit of everything.
But the stunties can still take stars.
Still take the stars, can't they?
Which is difficult, because you can run a really solid Snotling team at 1150. 1150. You can still run Hackflame and everything. That's basically what I took to Sandbowl last year. Maybe 50k less, so 1 less bribe or something. You can be pretty competitive.
I think an ogre team potentially at that kind of value.
Yeah,
you could really fill an ogre team out nicely. Probably go with a full ogre build and still have some players to actually do some ball movement with.
Yeah, and seeing as you can't spam block anyway, there's only maximum of skill 1 skill twice. So if you're sacrificing that, you may as well do it on a string 5 team.
Absolutely. 40k for doubles though means you only get 4 doubles across your team. I don't know. It's intriguing. I love roster building, and we're going to come to and talk about a bunch of the most successful rosters from our tournaments of the weekend. But before we move on, we just want to say a massive thank you to everybody out there who supports us, whether it's by watching our videos, liking, subscribing, and doing all the YouTube things that it is an absolute meme, but we appreciate your support, or one of the myriad of people who jump on Patreon and support us in there. So new patrons for this week, we got Sven Lemcool, Michael Bullman, David Fitchett, David Ankers, Chris Tweddle, Cryptic Chimera, Andres Timmel, Trevor Turner, Cotter Bap Grave, the God of Chuck, which is probably the coolest Patreon name we've got so far, Catherine Peterson, Jeremiah Roberts, David Priest, I'm assuming that's of the Priest clan, the Priest pack, Tom and Ben Smith. So massive thank you to everybody out there who supports us. It means that we can do all the stuff that we do. And talking about all the stuff that we do, let's take a quick break and go into hobby, and we'll talk about the stuff that we do and the stuff that we've done. Just get a really bad mask and no one will recognize you. It'd be great. And then you could post about it on Instagram a lot. I do not care at all about like celebrities, but this is something I have definitely been following the last few weeks because it is just so.
What Kanye's absolute descent into chaos.
I feel really bad for him. Even though he could
he brings on
buy.
himself.
So I know, but I always believe that there is a reason.
Yeah.
If someone does something stupid, there has to be a reason why. At some point, they must have thought, this is the right thing for me to do. For some reason. I don't know what grenade he's jumping on.
So many steps along the way, when someone should have said, no.
Is this the best?
No one's ever told him no.
Yeah.
That's the trouble. No one's ever said, Kanye, maybe you shouldn't do that.
He's been living in a Cardassian world. It's not real.
Exactly.
I just think it's amazing. I really
Suddenly
do.
Stuff isn't going his way, and he's just like, "What is this? I'm not in control."
Yeah,
so good, so good.
Just makes me think of South Park.
Yeah, that orchestral rendition.
Yeah,
too good.
Yeah, he loves fish fingers. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, crew. Happy to move on to hobby.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. And we're back, and it is hobby time, and it's been a pretty, I don't know, these 2 weeks has just been like laser quick, which is not surprising. But have you guys got any hobby in, or any games, or any stuff? What have you been up to? Ben, you better talk about the house in this segment.
It was okay. Yeah, did get a new place, which is awesome. Loving it. Still moving in. But as a result, hobby has really taken a hit. Like, I haven't painted anything in like a month now, over a month, which is yeah. Usually I hobby at least a few nights a week, but yeah, it's I'm missing it. I want to get back into the swing of things. So we had a big chat today about the Dungeon Bowl stuff that's coming up.
Yes.
I was assembling a College of Fire roster, so I had a little test scheme on the stream a few weeks back, and I'm going to apply that to set of models, which we worked through together, and we're going to use some, is it Artisan Guild models?
Yeah, absolutely love them.
And yeah, so assembling a team through those, which they've got a consistent theme and design. It's quite a bit different. It'd be quite interesting to paint something different, but I'm putting those on the build plate, and I'm going to get these printed after the podcast because I'm excited to get back into printing as well.
Ben is going to 3D print some models for the first time this year, right? Easy this year.
For the first time. Yeah, since about like October, I think. So,
wicked. How about you, Trips? I know you've been doing some hobby today.
I have definitely been doing some hobby. So I finally finished my Stormcast miniature. That was our November paint challenge. We gave each other a miniature to paint, and it took me 3 months to get around to starting it, and then 2 more months to get around to finishing it. So I did that, finished it, based it, really pleased with it. Have a bad feeling that might not be the only Stormcast I end up owning. So I should blame Milton for that one.
Yeah, I'm just looking in the background on your
Ben,
shelf to see if there's any Stormcast boxes appearing just yet.
Yeah, not yet. Maybe in a few days' time. Behind the door there are my printers, and both have a rest for the start of 22. They are both up and going. So I have printed out some accessories for Warcry, some storage boxes and details, so I can store my cards and at least have an idea of where they are. And the last couple of days, I have also been Dungeon Bowl roster creating.
Yes.
And I've been using the West Cross miniatures for a truly beefy College of Death. Well, definitely not little. Flesh golems, wraiths, and mummies that need sizing up galore.
I love the West Cross mini stuff. Ooh, I love the way this little box of 3D printed stuff smells too. That's going to be fun later. Yeah, the West Cross Kickstarter was awesome. The mummies are great. I realised I printed a bunch off in different scales. I probably should have shared that information with you before. Sorry about that, Trips.
Yeah, that would have been handy.
He was just saying, like an hour ago, I was just like, I should probably scale these up. And you've got a whole bunch of test models.
I did scale. I scale everything up. In fact, except for this guy. This is wicked. Actually, Trips, if it wasn't for you, I would have probably had to print another one of these out. But this is going to be my Bloodspawn for my Dungeon Bowl thing. It's one of the Oni from Artisan Guild. This is all tied in nicely. Oh, good stuff. Good box.
Oh, nice.
It's got some great stuff in here. Ooh. It's where all the offshoots go for my 3D printing stuff. I'll get round to painting that one day. Yeah. At least it's tidied in the box.
Bad smelling box of resin.
Bad smelling. It smells like creation. It's like a box.
It's awful.
It's like a box of Big Bang. Yeah, no, it's not a good smell. Tiff gets really angry when I come back in. First, I don't know if you guys are the same at Trips. I imagine you are still doing things exactly properly. When it comes to 3D printing, I started off like, right, no, let's change the jumper. Now I'll just have my big like Scotland jumper on. Shout out to Milton, stranded in Scotland right now. I get a nice bit of knitwear, and I'll go out there and I'll come back in and I'll just absolutely smell of spirits and resin, and Tiff will just be like,
it sticks.
Yeah, it really does stick to you.
I would fully recommend a air filter close to the printer to suck all of those smells out of the air, and I can get away with one literally in the house, in the room, and a little bit of fresh air, filter on.
That is
print to your heart's content, and you have to get sent outside.
That is wise. Mine's in the shed at the end of the garden next to the neighbour's property, and it is 100% a fire risk, but it's probably fine. And I'm so glad I didn't put a print on today. I was going to put a print on, but I got distracted by Lost in Space and never did. But you know what? With the power going out, I don't know how that would have affected that print. I don't know whether it would have killed the print or not. Everything happens for a reason, maybe, sometimes. So we've got a lot of Dungeon Bowl stuff going on. I've been working on my College of Beast roster. I am still torn. I think the Minotaur is a great thing to have in Dungeon Bowl because that Strength 6 Frenzy Blitz, I think, is going to be massive against other teams, to one-up the Kaiju combat. But at the same time, I really do like the idea of a Bloodspawn because there's going to be a lot of claw victims in a dungeon. And I think Strength 5 Frenzy Claw against a lot of blocker-heavy environment, it's going to be pretty invaluable too. So I don't know. But shout out to David. Was it David? No, it was Graham Pickett, I think, who was talking about College of Beasts with 3 Croxagore roster. I hadn't considered how great the Croxagores would be. Bonehead means they're doing everything on 2+, so you don't have the 4+ trying to move them difficulty. And Prehensile Tail means that stunties and the little nippy dudes who are running around get that negative modifier. So actually putting, in a tunnel, Strength 5 dude with armor 10+, they've got I think they've got thick skull as well, but that Prehensile Tail means that you the smaller, slighter colleges cannot get by them. And I'm like, oh, this is really tempting. So
really good point.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, a three Croxagore build would be great fun. Can use the brute fun Croxagores. But I balanced it out so that I can get either a Bloodspawn or a Minotaur in there, or I just give the Bloodspawn horns and make him like a super death beast. Yeah, okay. He's got horns. It's got horns. That'd be fine. Oh, it's a cool model. I love Artisan Guilds. So loads of Dungeon Bowl stuff going on. The rest of the hobby I did was getting ready for the tournament. Checking out over 100 rosters, making sure stuff was all lined up, and then I don't think it went too bad, and we'll go into a bit of a deep dive in that in a second. But other than that, guys, anything fun going on with you guys? That silence.
Rips.
And just not much too else. Getting ready for the tournament was good fun. That tournament itself. Finally sorting all the hobby stuff out, so everything has a home now. So now I know where things are meant to be. They'll still not live there, and still not touched a dice in 3 weeks. So I'm still staying well away from rolling.
That game we played was outrageous, and then the game I played after you, I had some. It was not as bad, but there was some triple pow, triple one disaster stuff there, and I was like, oh no, what's happened? This has been crazy. So yeah, we are 1 week out from being on the last match of the Bonehead Championship. Ian Warhammer Hannum is coming back on next week to finish wrapping up that recording, so that'll be good. So next weekend, the last game will be out, And it's probably no massive spoiler. We're all working on Dungeon Bowl teams for a reason, because we will be moving into Dungeon Bowl afterwards, because it's just such a good format. We've got a Dungeon Bowl tournament coming up. It's just a great way to play. So it seemed like a really good way to just show off some of the fun stuff. But I think that is about everything that's been going on hobby-wise. I guess it's time to talk about Beachhead. Y'all And we're back, and I'm back from yet another power cut. So this is going to be quite an interesting segment. Let's see if we can power through. So we just got to experience our biggest tournament yet. It was 2 days. Well, it wasn't really 2 days. It was 2 separate tournaments joined together because there was a 2-day game convention called Beachhead at the Bournemouth International Centre, and we got to go and run a couple of awesome Blood Bowl events on behalf of Entoyment and everything like that. And Trips was drafted in to be our additional TO support. And straight away, guys, before we move on, I just say we could not have done the tournament without both of you. You were absolutely brilliant. Trips just kind of took over organising, making sure that we were doing what we were supposed to be doing. Ben was the score master. Yeah. We get distracted.
We have a tendency to go off the rails.
Get distracted, get excited, run around, and it was so good. It was so much fun, and it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. I ran the numbers earlier, and I think there was about 80 tickets sold for the Saturday and about 60 something tickets sold for the Sunday. There was quite a lot of COVID dropouts the week coming into it, so I think had 120 rosters in, about that. And we ended up having 62 players on the Saturday, Ben, and 44 on the Sunday. Yeah, so we had
40... No, it was 44.
Yeah, we had like 50 something sevens rosters and 79 I think 11s rosters through. It was awesome, like really good. And the difficulty here with Beachhead going into it was, do you guys remember just before Christmas? And I mean, just before Christmas, I was on some calls that were looking at actually what happens if the government says you have to close stuff again, because COVID was getting gnarly, and there was a whole lot of, is this a good idea? Can we do this? Is it going to get pulled? And we still had over 100 teams across the 2 days, and just like that turnout was amazing. Saturday was 11s, 3 rounds, and Sunday was 4 rounds of 7s, which I maintain is the best format ever. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the format of the 11s tournament, the outcomes, look at some of the top rosters, look at the team breakdowns, and just talk through how the event went. So, guys, should we delve into the 11s, and then we'll begin. So
let's go.
Okay. So Beachhead Bowl was 3 rounds. We had 2-hour rounds for each of them, and the build was quite low. It was 1.1 million. There was tiering, and tier 1 got 5 primary skills, tier 2 got 4 primary and 2 secondary, and tier 3 got 5 primary and 2 secondary skills. So a little bit bigger, I think, than one of our previous tournaments, but still quite... What we wanted was a format that was not crazy. We knew the tournament, we knew the hall, because this is the second time we've done this, and the event was much bigger. Our tournament was much bigger, but it's a busy environment, and we want people to be able to come and play quite simple Blood Bowl. So without any, without too crazy rules. We love crazy rules and silly stuff, but we wanted to make it accessible for everybody, whether you just started playing Blood Bowl, whether you're experienced vet, whatever. So we went with a kind of limited skill package, and the only fancy thing you could buy was a giant. Star players were allowed, but no wizards, nothing mercenaries, just the giant. And we had to adjust the team tiers with the November FAQ. So High Elves, Norse, and Underworld were tier 1. Human, Khorne, Orc, Old World Alliance, and Demons of Khorne. No, Demons of Khorne got gone, actually. They were banned by the NAF. So we are 1 team down. We went up to 30 for a brief period of time, and then Demons of Khorne got removed. So that was the format of the event. Now, I think my next slide, we've got the actual outcomes here. So, I mean, it's just. Did you guys think we'd have 60-something players on the Saturday, first of all?
Only because you had been saying, "Oh my God, there's so many people coming. How are we going to do this?" I didn't anticipate that many to turn up, to be honest, because of like you say, COVID. It was
I
it's
think
sketchy,
Christmas time. I think we were thinking like 30, maybe 40
Mhm.
players. Like that would be good. And as it started to get closer, and you started sharing the numbers, it started to become almost a practical issue where you start to go, that's quite a few tables. That's a lot of teams.
It's a lot of Blood Bowl. Yeah, so we didn't really push it massively on the channel, I don't think. Like, what we'd like to do for our events beforehand is show off the prizes, show off the trophies, show off the loot, garner some interest. But because we didn't, frankly, we just didn't know if the event was going to go ahead or whether it was going to be limited. Yeah, I think, Trips, you're right. I think we're thinking something in the line of 30 to 40 people, same as what we had last time, 2 years ago, would have been absolutely brilliant. But the fact we sold nearly 80 tickets for Saturday alone was awesome. And I'm so excited. I'm so hoping that next year we can top 100 because I think it would be absolutely amazing. However, I am super chuffed that we had that many people sign up and that many people still turn up as well, because we had a ton of drops with COVID, with everything, because people traveled from. We had one dude who was due to travel from Germany, made the right decision not to, just because of all the stuff that was going on. We had people come across from, what was it? Was it Jersey or Guernsey?
Jersey.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Gary came down. It was really cool. It was a really great mix of people who've been involved in the channel, people who were always on the commenting on the videos and stuff. It was wicked, along with the old Entoyment regulars, and it was just. I just thought that the turnout was absolutely amazing. And I've skipped too far ahead. We're not going to go through the results. We're going to do the team breakdowns first. I think is probably the right way to do this. But yeah, I mean, we've not run a tournament that had that many people in before. We weren't expecting to. It was really difficult to try and gauge like the prize level and stuff like that. Pete and the Entoyment crew, they were very up for us having a load of good stuff for a load of good coaches. So here we go. We've got the Bonehead Beachhead Bowl 2022 breakdown of teams now. So we had 62 teams on the Saturday. We had 5 Black Orc, 5 Necromantic, 4 Amazon and Dwarf, 4 Orcs, 4 Snotlings, and 4 Underworld, 3 Halflings, Skaven, Undead, 2 Chaos, Chosen, 2 Dark Elf, 2 Human, 2 Khorne, 2 Lizardmen, 2 Norse, 2 Ogres, Elf Union, Goblin, High Elf, Nobility, Nurgle, Old World Alliance, Renegades, Slan, and Vampire. 26 out of the 29 teams were there that turned up, which means, what were the missing teams out of those? Who did we not see? Yeah, Chaos Dwarves.
Kings and Wood Elves.
Yeah, I was quite surprised that Wood Elves didn't make it on the Saturday. A weird one to be missing, but I guess if you're going to pass the ball, Elven Union are better. If you're going to bash and screen, Dark Elves are better. So I guess in that sort of way, I understand. Okay. So from a breakdown point of view, we had a great mix of teams, a really great mix of teams. Were you guys surprised by the mix that we had?
I was really surprised by how varied it was. To have no single race with more than 5 was really good, and I'm not sure people were playing any repeat matches during the day, which is part of the fun of coming to a tournament.
I think in round 2, I went around, and at one point there was Dwarf versus Dwarf, Norse versus Norse, Black Orc versus Black Orc, like all lined up together, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. What are the chances? And apparently 1 in 62 of most of that. I liked it. But one of the things that I think I really did like about this breakdown, and sorry, Ben, I'm just sharing this with you, was the tier breakdown. So we had 25 tier 1, 27 tier 2, and 10 tier 3. So it was 40% of the field was tier 1 and 43% of the field was tier 2. Now, we like to have a little bit of extra incentive for the other tiers. And I think actually the fact that it landed with an even split between those tiers meant that actually tier 2 stuff was worth taking. And, spoiler alert, when we look at the winners, tier 2 did pretty well, but not from a landslide point of view. And I guess the other thing to talk about is star players. So how many star players do you think we had on day one, on Saturday? Bearing in mind we had 62 teams. Total
I thought it was going to be quite high. I thought with a 1.1 and a tournament like this, I was expecting about 75% of the teams to have stars.
That's what we've seen a lot of. But we ended up with, I think, 21 teams out of the 62 were taking stars. I think it was either 20 or 21. I've included Giants in there as star players. So we had 27 stars/Giants on the day across 20 or 21 teams, which meant 1 in 3 teams was running a star. And okay, let's give it another one. Ian, can you guess the top star player on the day? Most frequent in a roster?
It has to be Hackflem, surely.
Okay. Ben, any advances on Hackflem?
The ones I saw a couple of Griffs, I think.
Yeah, Carla, Hackflem, Creek, and Morg at 3. 2 Griffs, 2 Giants, 2 Acorns. There were some great rosters kicking around there.
Oh, there were, yeah.
Yeah. Corn with Acorn is a roster that is just genius. We had a Grak, we had a Cheney, we had a Glorial, which was a very cool build. We had a Galart, Varag, Borak, Fungus, Black Gobbo, and Helmet. The Black Gobbo and Helmet were in the same roster. And
Nice.
yeah, we'll look at that roster in a second because I thought that was genius. But no, really, I mean, awesome.
That's huge because we in was it the last one we ran in Bonehead Bowl, which was like there was a lot of Hackflem, a lot of Cheney.
Yeah, Cheney was very prevalent. Those two were really, really popular because they're game changing. So I don't know if people have, 1, just bored of stars, or 2, the fact that Hackflem's price went up is actually restricting the amount of times it can be taken. If that is the case, well, it seems to be working. Like, it seems to have worked out all right. And if we move on to the Beachhead 11's results, so this is on the screen. What we've got here now is a cut from score on the day. There's a couple of bits in there that we needed to go in and correct. A couple of rosters I'd written down wrong. And I think the High Elf one might have been one of the ones there because the team was called the Calador something. And I'm like, well, it's got to be High Elves, but it was not. That was me being... that was me, just wrong, just straight up wrong. Yeah, it was. So top rosters, we had Wayne Peters, Gimli, 01, Beachhead. Did it again. This is both Beachheads. He's won now.
Crazy.
And
but he won it due to basically playing awesome defensive Blood Bowl. I think he conceded 1 touchdown or no touchdowns.
0.
And with a point for perfect defense, well, that was his 3 points that snuck him the win.
So the rule set was 30 points for a win, plus 1 bonus point per touchdown and per casualty, up to 3 of each. And then there was a perfect defense benefit in there that if you held your opponent to 0 touchdowns, you get an extra bonus point. That was to keep the slower teams in the running. So your Nurgle, Dwarves, Khemri, the teams that win the 1-0 grind, actually... It gets that extra bonus, plus you get a blowout. If you 3-0 somebody, you actually get 4 points, so it'd be 34 points on that one. And yeah, Ian, you've called it. The fact that Wayne went and got 106 points, 4 touchdowns to nothing on the day, so not high scoring, so that's 2 1-0s and a single 2-0. 10 to 5 casualties, solid attack there, just good, tight play. So Wayne was running no star player, and I tell you what, let's just read out the top roster bits, and then we can actually go in and have a look at the rosters, because this is the thing I love about tournaments, is having a look and seeing, because every team can win in Blood Bowl. We've all been there, right? We're a team that you just like, this one's disadvantaged. It doesn't matter. You can still get ruffle stomped by the dice and by solid play. So Wayne Peters with Orcs came first. Joe Solo with Halflings came second place for Halflings, which is cool. Simon Warrener with Chaos Renegades, Chris Tamblin with Underworld, and Owen Crossweller Orkster with Slan there. So Slan in the top 5. So we've got tier 2, tier 3, tier 2, tier 1, tier 2 in the top 5. Great mix. Stephen Padley with Orcs, then James Scarfan with Vanilla Nurgle, I think. Logan Creedy with Dark Elf. Logan had a great weekend. Rich Allsworth with Norse, Simon Malpass with Dwarf. So it was a real good mixture there in the top. And I'll tell you what, let's have a quick look at Wayne's roster. I'm going to have a look at the top 5 rosters I think I've got prepared, because actually it's always fun to look at a roster. So Wayne's team had 4 blitzers, 4 big un blockers, 3 linemen, a goblin, 3 rerolls, and mighty blow on a blitzer, 4 blocking big uns, and a block goblin using a double. That does not smack to me an amazing roster.
It's a very standard orc roster, isn't it?
I looked at this and I thought of Milton.
Yeah.
So, Miltonio Banderas loves taking orcs and just using the block skill. But, I mean, positioning's so good. Orcs are underrated a little bit. The fact they got dumped down into tier 2, I don't think is the worst thing in the world. It meant that in our thing here, they got an extra skill and a half, basically, versus that. So you got a great team here. Interesting that Wayne went with the Goblin. The other Orc roster that was in the top 10 was the Thrower build. No Goblin. Still 3 rerolls. Very similar kind of skill set, I think. But that was the tournament roster that won. It seems like a really standard Orc roster, right?
Sometimes the classics are the way,
Yeah.
Just run your orcs, give them block, and go to town.
Yeah. Solid team. Wayne plays solid, well positioned. Make your opponent make the mistake Blood Bowl, and he really pulled it off. I mean, he played to the strength of the Orc team and avoided the weaknesses beautifully.
Yeah, and I think just having that Goblin as a little cheeky movement 6 stunty blodger in the background just gives you that little extra bit of spice, which I thought was really, really clever build. Then we'll move on to number 2, which was the Stunty Cup winner for the day, and second place with Halflings. So Joe Solo, I think, has won at least one Stunty Cup with us before, right? Joe knows how to play Halflings, and I think ran this actual almost the same. No, I'm not sure it was the same build, but the same actual physical team at Beachhead 2 years ago.
The same build. He had 4 strength 6 players, 6+ players in the last one. So.
Yeah, that was wicked. That was such a good little rule set. Is that our last rule set of the old edition, or did we snuck that in Mega Bowl? Didn't we?
No, it was in Beachhead because we had the Albion theme there.
Oh yeah.
So he had 2 tree man, Deep Root, and a Fen Beast.
Well, he went for something a bit spicy this time round as well. Went for the Halfling build: 1 tree man, 1 hefty, 1 catcher, 9 little dudes, Carla, and Griff. With a Master Chef as well. No rerolls. So no rerolls. Went with block on the tree man, kick on a little dude, leader on a hefty, sure feet on a catcher, sneaky git, defensive, and sprint, just as a mix of skills in there as well. So a blocking tree man. The fact that it's a 1 tree man build but had Griff and Carla, I mean, it's the leader skill makes sense. Leader with Master Chef, that gives you, what are we looking at? 2 to 3 rerolls each half, probably. And then you've got Griff's Mega Pro skill, which basically gives him 1 leader reroll at half as well. Trips, I think you're probably familiar with that.
Yeah, well, I've played a very similar build to that, and Griff and Carla, between them, they re-roll the things they need to re-roll themselves. They've got the right inbuilt skills, so you can get away with less re-rolls. And they are a punchy couple of star players, especially when you've got the tree type people as well. It's again a roster that if you roll well, you can play well. If you get your pieces positioned badly, your halflings will severely let you down.
Judging by the points here, Joe went 3-0 with this team. Scoring,
he did.
Yeah. 3-0 with halflings. We had three 3-0 teams in this one, and came second with 103 points there, so 3 points behind Wayne. So that was our Stunty Cup winner and our second place. Our third place was Chaos Renegades. Insidious was the coach, and What do we have here? We had the Renegade Ogre, the Dark Elf, the Goblin, the Orc, the Skaven. Makes a lot of sense. With the Troll and a Minotaur as well. Acorn, the Squirrel, and 5 Line Dudes. 2 rerolls, and then skills-wise, block using a double on the Ogre, block using a double on the Troll, Jugs on the Minotaur, block Dark Elf, block Orc, wrestle Skaven. I mean, 3 big guys with combat skills there. Interesting that Acorn was taken without any guard. That's bold. I get Acorn in a guard heavy team because that turns that strength 1 clause frenzy into, strength 2, strength 3 if you can get it up there. I love this. So Simon Warriner went 3-0 with a meme team, Renegades, paying an Acorn tax. I mean, Acorn's got no hands, so it can't be a scoring threat. A really interesting one.
What you say without the guard, though, his inbuilt reroll kind of does mitigate that quite a lot.
Yes.
Like, you just need, 3 pluses to you die a strength 3 player?
Yeah, Acorn may choose to reroll the d6 when rolling for Dauntless. So yeah, it is entirely possible that Acorn was just absolutely in the wind, just taking players on one-on-one and just like knocking them about. But I love this roster. Block Ogre, block Troll, Jugs on the Minotaur. That's a really offensive team. No ball skills here at all. No sure hands, no nothing. Just block, wrestle. All combat. Some solid players got to go into that. With a score of 103.
Also it's worth knowing, went a clean sheet on this one. Didn't concede any touchdowns.
6-0. Yeah, only 5 casualties, which is crazy when you look at all this stomping power that we've got here. That's how close it is. Now, 3-round tournaments, we've got, I think, a pretty decent scoring system built upon what Sean used to use at Birmingham, and we just tweaked it as we've gone. And actually, you get close packs in a 3-round tournament. You can get close packs in a 4-round tournament. So if 3 players go 3-0, and there's only 3 points in it, so a couple more casualties here for Insidious, a couple less casualties for Wayne, and it would have been a slightly different result. I love it. It's so good. Really fun roster, this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a really good roster.
Who do we have 4th place, guys? Who was 4th, Ben?
4th, we have CT, Chris Tamblin.
Yes.
Who was running, bear with me.
Underworld.
Yeah.
All right, wicked. So we've got CT's Underworld roster here. We got Blitzer, Snotling, Gutter Runner, Snotling, Thrower, Snotling, Clamrat, Goblin, 2 rerolls, Morg and Thorg. So this is Morg Underworld. No hack phlegm. We've got a Tackle Blitzer, a Leader Thrower, giving you your 3rd reroll, 2 Wrestle Clamrats, and a Sneaky Git Goblin with Morg. This is interesting. Underworld, you tend to think they're going to go for the speed element of it, but Morg is the big guy in this roster, isn't he? There's no Troll, there's no Roger. Morg is.
I mean, if you're going to have one, Morg isn't a bad shout.
He's the most reliable big guy you'll ever have.
Yeah, massively. And a vanilla Gutter Runner. So this is a really interesting one. I mean, not a huge amount of scoring potential except for what exists in the roster itself. Wrestle Clamrats are great, but I mean, Wrestle is a temporary fix. It benefits you because it's going to keep you alive. It benefits soft armor players because it's going to keep them alive, and definitely benefits the Clamrats because they're movement 7. So you wrestle them down to the ground, only cost you 3 movement, you get back up, you're in the game. Leader on the Thrower seems like a no-brainer, and having 1 tackle player out there, especially a movement 7 blocker in the Blitzer, really solid. But this is all Morg, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's a very fouling roster, really. Morg takes players down, Wrestle takes players down. Got like you say, the Tackle Blitzer is just like in emergencies when they have the ball. But other than that, and just that constant threat, of course. But I could see this being like, I'm just gonna foul a lot of players and try and clear the pitch that way. you don't have the raw strength that other teams do, but this can get around like the block heavy teams really easily.
That is true. And
So
15 active players on the roster, and 6 of them being Snotlings. So this is max swarming. So as well. So you're playing with 13, 14, 12 or 13 players each time as well. You get an opportunity to kind of tag up one of theirs. You've got Morg, who's a very good throw teammate player. He's even got the catapult skill, which allows you to re-roll a throw teammate once per game as well. So you've got pretty reliable throw teammate angle as well. I thought it was very cool, and it's great and really refreshing to see an Underworld roster that isn't just hack phlegm, you know.
Yep.
And what was the score for Chris here? 86, 8 touchdowns to 1, 8 casualties to 15. Yeah, well, that's going to happen when you're running Snotlings. But 86, that's 2 wins and a draw kind of territory, isn't it? 30.
I mean, to do 8-1 plus 7 TDs net is really impressive.
Yeah.
Like conceding only 1 touchdown with Underworld is pretty tricky.
Yeah.
So yeah, nicely done.
Wow, that means must have had a 3-0 what's that? A 3-0 game, a 4-0 game?
I can
maybe.
If you go to the next one, I can find out.
Yeah, amazing. I love this next one. Now, this is the last of the top 5 we're going to look at, but I had to get it in there because, first of all, it's flipping Orkster, who is always on the channel on Whip Wednesday and just a bit of a hobby god, to be fair. But running Slan, one absolute legend. So we had Slan. Slan is a legacy team. If you've never heard of it, it existed in the before times. In the long ago, there was Slan, and they were frogmen. And the way the roster plays is they've got pogo stick and very long legs. They are all about just jumping, basically just teleporting 2 squares. It's a brilliant roster. No other team plays like it. It's a very unique experience of, if I can roll 4s, I'm going to win the game. If I can't roll 4s, I'm going to die. And it's like playing with goblins that can do stuff is probably the best way to describe this. And Orkster running Slan, we've got to watch him build his team on Wednesday as well. It's been so much fun. So Orkster was running a Crocs, 2 Slan Blitzers, both with guard. The Crocs had block. We had 2 Slan catchers. These guys are amazing. They're Edge 2 plus, movement 7, pogo stick. So basically, they can just 2 plus appear anywhere else in 2 squares. They're so good. Took leader on them with a double, and then a bunch of linemen there, tackle and 1 block with 3 rerolls. So 4 rerolls with leader. You don't get a lot when it comes to Slan at 1100, but both of those Slan Blitzers are able to just roll a 3 plus, reappear anywhere within 2 squares, and then you've got guard right there, which means that the Slan lineman can then just 2 dice anybody you want at any time. And because they're movement 6 and they've got pogo stick, no one is ever safe from Slan. Ever. It's such a cool roster. I really love it. I was so excited that we had a Slan roster.
Genuinely excited to see him turn up, weren't you?
Oh, there were so many good rosters, so many clever rosters. But I just, like, there's Skaven. I love Skaven. And then there's just Slan. Slan is just the most extra you can be, because it is such a challenge. Like, you know, we always talk about Khemri being a proper tier 2, Khemri and vampires being a proper tier 2 challenge, and then you've got Slan, and Slan is just masochistic in a way. 100% brilliant roster to run. How did Orcs do on the day, guys? What was the
Orcs got 85 points, only one behind CT, who by the way did go 3-0, 4-0, and 1-1.
Was it a 1-1 in the last round as well for CT?
It's 1-1 in round 2 for CT.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah. Orkster, 85 points. He had 7 touchdowns, 4 and 2 against, so on a +5 there. So another really good result.
Hefty casualties at 14 as well.
Yeah, so we had a 4-0 win in round 1. Then it went to a 1-1 draw, and finally it was a 2-1 win.
Amazing. So good.
Yeah.
So good. And this is the great thing about only having 3 teams missing, is it meant you kind of got the chance to see every one of the teams. And I think this was one of the earlier Grebo teams. But Orkster had made these see-through resin bases, like with pond effects for all of the slan because they're frog people.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really, really cool.
Brilliant.
And the other great thing here is that Orkster Junior came. I think Jack, his son, came. I think
Yes.
first tournament, ran Necro, had a great time, played some great games, did some really good work, and I think Orkster Junior was only one casualty away from winning the casualty award, if I remember correctly. Beachhead 11s, I think he was sitting at 14 casualties. I may have made that up now. Quackers.
Close. Both Orkster and Orkster Junior had 14 casualties. Actually, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coaches with 14.
And the winner was 15 casualties, right?
Yep, Xavier with 15 casualties.
Yeah, that was also a very cool roster. But I mean, it's just fun to look at some of the more intriguing ones. In fact, great foreshadowing there, Ben. Excellent segue. We've got the Vampire most casualty roster lined up next. So this was Doc Miniature, and I was super, super excited about this roster as well when it came through. We got 5 Vampire Blitzers, 8 Thralls, so 13 players at that point. Wilhelm Cheney, so 14 players. Can you guess how many rerolls that's going to leave you with at 1100? You're both exactly correct. Yeah. 0 rerolls. This was really cool. Pro on 2, block on 2, leader on 1, so kind of did have a reroll, and then guard double on one of the thralls with
what is
Cheney.
it with vampire? What is it with vampire coaches and no rerolls? I remember getting absolutely rinsed at Sand Bowl by vampires, Cheney, and no rerolls with lots of pro, and it was just like, what is this? This is so annoying.
I loved it. This is
so impressive.
This is one of the rosters I think I pinged to you guys. I was like, dude, some mad lad is running five vamps, Cheney, and no rerolls, and just absolutely
your bravery.
Yeah, so cool. And then went and won casualties. Went and won most casualties as well, which is just so cool. How did Doc do? 14th, came 14th as well, so 72 points. So
pretty solid. 2 wins
and a loss probably with that amount of bonus points for casualties.
I really enjoyed he has a thrall with guard. I really think that's a cool pick. Just it really helps you out when you need to do these Cheney blitzes, which you're trying to do every turn with this kind of roster. You want to hypno gaze, Cheney blitz, and having that guard there is really, really good for that with the frenzy. So that's a cool pick. I really considered that.
I mean, Trips, I don't know if you've ever had a chance to play a vampire roster, but you sit down against a team like this that is built. It is built very unusually, right? You're
not gonna. A lot of coaches will just not have seen a vampire team and played against them, and you are gonna live and die a little bit by your dice rolls. But that's the half the fun. I mean, they were a beautiful team in terms of makeup, but you really played them well.
Okay. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's that? So that's 750, 970. Team value on pitch is something we talk about every now and again because it represents the value of the players on the pitch. 1100 TV tournament, and with 5 of those vamps and Cheney, it's nearly 1 million of the team is on the pitch at any one time, which is massive because if you look at any other team, you've got 2 on the bench, you've got maybe 200k in rerolls, you're running 750, 800 TV. So this vampire team on the pitch is basically a vampire extra team value actually there playing on the pitch, and it's so good. But the dice giveth and the dice significantly taketh away when it comes to vamps. But I mean, being able to take 8 thralls, what's that? That's a bench of 3-4 dudes there ready to get eaten. Well, no, not even eaten anymore, just smacked around a bit. You've got that reserve. I thought this was brilliant. A very different roster, but I mean, playing this with 6 players who are strength 4 on the pitch, like, this is a Black Orc team with agility. This is a very cool way to play. I did think that was very, very, very cool. Very interesting. Okay, so let's talk about who did great stuff on the day. So we talked about Wayne winning with the Orcs. We talked about Stunty Cup going to Joe, which was not a massive surprise because the guy's very good at what he does with the little dudes. Insidious with Renegades and Acorn came third. Most TDs was 8 with CT, with +7 with Morg Underworld. Orcs to 5th with Slan. Best team was Drew, which was no surprise. There were some very lovely teams, but Drew just really puts it out. Yeah, this was the
chatting to him the day. That's his win. If he goes to try for best team, so and he always absolutely knocks it out of the park.
This was the Scottish Snotlings as well. I'm going to overlay the video at some point in this section of all the teams that got put forward for best team, because there was a lot going on there. Most casualties was Dot Miniature with the Vampire Cheney build with 15 +9. We've got to talk about fouls. Dirty player. Do you guys remember that? Do you remember game 1?
Oh,
game 1. Yeah, we got given a results card that made us all worry that someone had really missed the rules. But as it turned out, Adam had really figured the rules out, because he handed in a rule card with mere 30 fouls in game 1.
And the reason he managed to achieve 30 fouls is because Adam Pike, Toxic 6, the dirty player with 62, all in on the day, Snotling build with Helmut Wolf and the Black Gobbo, with a few dirty player Snotlings as well. So every turn was basically 2 fouls with whoever that he could get the opportunity to do it on, and was just going for the most fouls on the day and just absolutely pounded the feet. What a commitment.
He'd won that by half-time in game 1.
Yeah, basically.
That's so obscene.
I mean, it's quite 62 fouls over 3 games. It's just horrific. Where did Adam come in the end? Because actually, when you've got no team to play against, not super high. Adam Pike, 39. 38th.
Or might be 39th, actually.
39. Yeah. Just brilliant. 42 points, 2-5, 14, 16. Still suffered more casualties that he caused, but hey, it's going to happen with Snotlings. But I thought that was an absolutely brilliant win. And that's the great thing about these tournaments, is you can go with a view of, like, you know what, I'm gonna go for best team. You know, I'm gonna go for the dirty player award. You know, I'm gonna ball out and go for the most touchdowns. Or you can do what Gary does and just come up with a cunning strategy every year, every tournament. The scroll deep ball throw where he brought that roster to Bombember was like, my goal today is to throw a touchdown with scroll from one side of the pitch to the other, and nearly pulled it off.
So good.
This year, Gary brought Giant as well.
It was score with a Giant.
Such credit to Gary, and I think it was David as well.
David
both
Priest.
Yeah, both of them came with a Giant. I think it's answered the question about, is a Giant an OP piece for the team?
Definitely not.
Not at all. Was it fun to see on the pitch? Absolutely, yeah.
So good.
Yeah, really good to see that in the team makeup, and I think it made a few people. Well, it definitely makes you think a bit differently when you literally see a Giant in front of you.
Yeah, if you want to see how the Giant plays on the pitch, go watch round 3 of the Bonehead Championship, and you will see us all play with Giants quite poorly, but it's a lot of fun. Giants are a great addition. So we had those top 5. We had Stephen Padley with Orcs 6, James Scarfang with Vanilla Nurgle, I think. Scarfang's goal this weekend was to bring Nurgle and prove that they could win, and Tick did a great job there, going 84 points. That's 2 wins and a draw, I think, for Scarfang. That's great work. Logan Creedy with Dark Elves 8, Rich Allsworth with Norse for 9, Dwarfs with Simon Malpass for 10, 11th was Daryl McFedron with Lizards, Rob Palmer with Norse for 12, 13 was Rob Quick from the Isle of Wight with Amazons. I think there was Amazons and Morg build. I think that was quite an interesting one. Xavier with those Vamps for 14th, Paul Harmer with Necro, Michael Jones with Halfling, James Priest with Underworld Denizens, one of the Priest pack. So the Priest team was David Priest, and then Sarah Jane and James, and they played brilliantly, absolutely brilliant. I mean, Underworld Denizens, I think this must be James's first or second tournament. I think is the Underworld team's the first team painted and to come in the top, well, basically the top 25 of a tournament. So good. So
Awesome.
good.
That is fantastic.
That's just imagine how terrifying James is going to be in another 5 years, and Sarah Jane. It's just, maybe not.
They're getting coaching. That is so good. It's so fun to see them turn up, and the joy that they have. And I think we'll talk about it later, but Sarah Jane did spectacularly well in Sevens.
Yeah, that was so good.
Overhearing her dad just be like, "You got to, yes!"
Yeah.
It was just, it warmed my heart. It warmed my heart. It was so nice to see.
Oh, it's so good. We had Dan Hunter with Necro. We had Danny Tambler with Chaos Chosen. I think a couple of these teams might be a little bit squiffy because I didn't do a great job of carrying it over, but I've corrected them on a list, and Ben and I think the 11s was basically there. John Allen with Black Orcs, Paul Harrison with Dwarves, Bob Davies with Necro, Andy Burridge with Lizards, Callum Mills 24 with Elf Union. That's the team I kept thinking was High Elves. Dan Maskell with Dark Elves. Dan Gerger, a heck of a coach, lost out by 1 point in our last tournament. Literally 1 point behind first place, so close. So that came 25th of this one. Christopher Stevenson with Humans, Lee Simmons with Necro, AJ with Ogres. That was a cool build. Mark Nichols with Skaven, Hereward with Chaos Chosen, Ryan Dell with Ogres, Jonathan Redman with Khorne. It was nice to see a couple of Khorne teams there. Jack Crossweller, Orkster Jr. with Shambling Undead there, that's Quackers. Rick Myhill with Necro, Matt Ratcliffe with High Elves, Jeff O'Hara with Skaven, 37 Jake Homewood with Shambling Undead, 38 Dave Thompson with Orcs, Adam Pike at 39 with the Fowly Snotlings, Graham Pickett, the Resident Wolf at 40, David Priest, again of the Priest Pack, 41 with Halflings. That was a wicked team. Punga Halfling team with a scaled up Triton Dwarf as the giant, and beautifully painted, beautifully presented in the book. Oh, there's some really good teams coming in. 41 there. Jonathan Bass with OWA. Great to see an OWA team. Andrew Gill with Orcs, Ian Reevil with Black Orcs, Oliver Feld with Humans, Jason Thorne Goblins, James Phone with another Khorne team, Gareth Harris with Black Orcs, Luke Dan in Nobility, Daniel Ellis with Underworld, Aaron with Amazons, Drew Creedy with Snotlings, Jamie Mortimer with another Underworld roster, Mad Gary with the Mad Giant, and Vreek, I think, and Creek. Which was a pretty cool combo. 55 Alex Evans with Undead, Sarah Jane coming in at 56 with Amazons, Dave Baverstock Ogres, Gavin Watson and Lee Doherty 58-59 with Black Orcs, Chris Crawford with Dwarves, Lee Pollitt with Snotlings, and Matt O'Keefe with Skaven. Matt had some bad luck there. The Skaven build was pretty solid, standard Rat Ogre build, but did win the participation trophy on the day. Vanilla Skaven. Just a really cool breakdown of teams. So happy with how it came out, and the mix I thought was really solid. So that was who won. That was how they won. That was the breakdown. It wasn't a star player fest. There was a great mix of teams, and I mean, it will surprise none of you. I get very excited seeing the data that you can pull from tournaments and stuff like this. But I mean, let's talk about how the day went. Like, how did you think that the day went, guys? Because we got there pretty early to set up the tables, and it was a long day.
I thought it went honestly smoother than I was ever expecting it to go. I mean, it's not like to say we're unprepared, but when you sort of have this many coaches come in, like the night before is really daunting, being like, oh no, I know we had conversations, Ben, about it. It's actually quite like, is this gonna be okay? Like, have we got everything ready? And fortunately, especially with Trips on board, thank you very much for helping there.
Huge.
I think it just ended up we had enough hands on deck. Everyone who came up was super nice. We didn't have any difficulties whatsoever on the day. And I think it just went really well. Like, the setup was fine. A Beachhead was really well organized too. So tables were out and ready to go. Yeah, really awesome.
Yeah, it was. Go for it, Trips.
I was going to say, real credit to all the players. So everyone turned up in the right attitude of they were there to have fun. And yeah, it was a tournament, it's competitive, but it was competitive in a fun way. And that really came across. Lots of people wanting to see what other people had done, uh, not wandering off and getting lost. Other than two of our coaches who couldn't tell the clock time in the afternoon and got a bit distracted by the stands in the trading area. Yeah, everyone played really well, kept within the time limits. It was really good. Hardly any rules.
Yeah, the
Really good
11s
to see.
session had hardly any rules queries. But no, I think you're both exactly right. Everyone pretty much came prepared. Really interesting one going into it. We had some, we had coaches dropping out. We still had some rosters outstanding. I think we only had one person turn up. We didn't have on the list on the day, which was good. We were kind of expecting a little bit more than that. But we were mostly there, mostly prepared. I think the BIC and the tournament hall was seriously busy. Like,
It was very busy.
it was quite squashed. There was a load of tournament players. I know that Pete's already looking at the summer event and the next year to see actually how it can be spaced out and organized a little bit slightly better maybe, but they had 180 players on the 40k tournament like across the way, and it was a busy event. So I'm hoping in future that we can do a bit of a better job as TOs to kind of stack when we're taking our breaks and make sure that we've got enough time, because we had pretty reasonable timings, 2 hours per round with 15 minutes in between, and then that 45 minute 30-minute lunch break, which in tournament is great, perfect. But in the BIC, when you're there with a couple of thousand other people and they've only got 2 people at the bar, it makes lunch and grabbing a drink very challenging. So had a chance to chat with loads of people who came and played and just like, actually, what could we done better? What could we do differently next time? And it was actually just have those gaps a little bit better, because you know what, the BIC is going to be busy when it's a convention weekend. And with that in mind, I think that's probably the biggest takeaway, is just things take a lot more time when you've got a lot more players in a place that is a lot more busy. And that was great. And, between you, BT, being the scoremaster, and coach over there making sure that we're doing the right things at the right time, I think it went pretty well. It was a lot of fun. And when we got a chance to use the microphone, that made things a lot easier, because let me tell you, and you guys massively jumped in here and helped out. We got 62 coaches, so 31 tables, and you're calling out the matchups, and that's a challenge for the players, and that's a challenge for your voice. I liked it. I thought it sounded great at the end of that day when I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I thought it was wicked. And you know what? I'm just going to put a little shout out here to Tiff. Tiff, bless her, had not listened, or maybe I didn't tell her, I don't know, about Beachhead being a 2-day event and about us staying over there. She was like, "Oh, well, I'll come with you and help." I was like, "Okay, fine." So Tiff came over and did some of the muggle work for us on the Saturday, and then went out drinking with her sister in the evening. And that was the other cool thing, is because it was a 2-day event, we got a chance to hang around in Bournemouth and say hello to a couple of people. Ben, we went out after the event. We were like, right, let's go grab some dinner. What happened at dinner, Ben?
Oh, God. We're just like, okay, so I said, right, yeah, I went to uni in Bournemouth. I remember there being a really good noodle bar. Let's go to the noodle bar. It's kind of on the other side of town, bit of a walk. So we said, that's okay. We'll stretch your legs. We've been indoors all day, nice to get some fresh air. Walked over there. It was a decent walk. Got there. Do you have any tables? Not really. We've got a couple at like 8. So we said, okay, right. Yeah, this is like 7 o'clock. Yeah, 8 o'clock, no problem. Let's have a think what we can do. There's quite a little while to wait. So we went outside and thought, let's go somewhere else. Nah, let's go back. I said, okay, no, we'll have that 8 o'clock table. And said, it's 8:15 now. I said, okay, right. So we've got an hour and 15 to kill. So we went and got a pint in the nearby pub. Came back at 8:15 after that. Good chat. Had our dinner. Really nice. Did the long walk back, starting to rain as well. And as we got back to the BIC after about at least half an hour walk, we realised that right next door to the BIC where we left was another noodle bar
Absolutely
that had opened
brutal. the same chain. The same chain.
Since I left.
So Ben's like, oh yeah, it's really good, best noodles I've ever had, and I'm like, well, you know what, let's go. You know, he was like, it's a bit of a walk. I was like, no, that's fine. And yeah, it took like half an hour to get there uphill, and I was at one point, I was like, I'm sure he's lost. Because you were like, let's cross this road. Oh no, we don't need to cross this road. And I'm like, I have no idea where I am, but I'm fine. Like, I've been up since Wednesday. This is okay. Let's do this. And then yeah, when they were like, oh yeah, we got a table, we were like, well, no. Then we got outside. I was like, Ben, are these noodles really worth it? It was like, yes. Like, trust me, best noodles in the world. Best noodles in the world. I was like, no, you know what? We're here now. I don't want to walk back just yet. Let's do it. And to be fair, the noodles were excellent noodles. The squid was really good as well.
It was good squid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The service was terrible. I felt like I'd betrayed her in some way, and I was just being very pleasant. I was like, hey, how you doing today? And I got the told off eyes. I was like, oh, Tiff gives me these eyes when I forget to tell her something. What have I not told you, strange woman I've never met before? Really strange one. Food was great. Then we walked back down to the pubs, and yeah, we walked past another of this chain, and we were like, oh, could have just done that. But then we went, but we went back to the hotel, where a lot of the Entoyment crew were staying, where Tom from Moonstone were coming over, and our goal was just to hang out and have some beers with people. We didn't really make it past the foyer. We got in there, we grabbed a beer. Tiff's sister and her friend came over. We had a little beer, and then we had is it Decadence?
Yeah.
Aaron grabbed us and had a beer, and we just didn't even make it past the foyer. So I mean, I would have loved to spend some more time with everybody who travelled down, but we didn't even get that far. Definitely something that we can do better next time. I'll
book a table next time.
That is probably what we should have done. Is just like, or just grab something out and then just gone straight in, because it was so cool. I don't feel, this is the one thing about the tournaments, is they're so busy. I don't really feel like you get a chance to talk to people. And I don't know, I quite like talking to people because everybody there was Blood Bowl mad, and it would have just there's just some really, really cool stuff. But I mean, was there anything else on the 11s days that do you think actually we can do a bit better next time, or you got feedback wise from the crew that was just like, actually this here, this there?
I think Trips amassed quite a bit of feedback, didn't you?
I think we there's a few practical tips and tricks that we look at, a bit registration and game one, probably split that out a little bit more when you're trying to register 62 coaches. I think we learned rapidly that needs care. But after that, the day ran really smoothly. I think I'd say that the scoring system worked well. The coaches gave us the details. A big thank you to Adam for making working out who caused the most fouls really nice and easy from every point of view. That saved a lot of manual work.
Round one, we're like, do you want your trophy now, or... No,
that was quite a bit of a relief, actually.
It was good because score doesn't count doesn't count fouls, so it's a case of we're gonna have to do this manually. Now, the score program did a great job, but there's the export function is something that is we haven't really got to grips with how we can do it in a way that spits it out, so that there's stuff we can share, like social media wise. So historically, with these events,
I think it can be done. I just got to I had to tweak it a little bit, so I think it's okay now.
It's our first time sort of using it, but we like to share the rounds by round so you can see which team is playing which. But we couldn't quite figure that, and that's something else that I want to make sure we do better moving forward, because actually, we got 10,000 people on YouTube love Blood Bowl, and 62 of them came to the tournament. And I was like, oh, we could be sharing this with the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. So that's definitely something I think we can do a little bit better. But I mean, I wouldn't say it was overwhelming, but I think it was pretty close to have that many people. And you know what? This is a real turning point, I think, in the way we do things. And that is massively down to both of you. So thank you so much. We couldn't have pulled it off. And then we went and stayed in the haunted hotel, had fire alarms in the middle of the night, woke up the next day with a mild hangover, got served by an unnecessarily happy woman the next morning, which I think upset Tiff a little bit. She was like, "Why is she so happy? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. How is she so happy?
How dare you? How dare you enjoy your job?"
Why are you so happy? Yeah, and there's me and you, just being a bit hungover. In fact, Tiff was actually hungover as well. It was quite a good one.
Thanks.
They stumbled over to the Bic, and then it was Sevens time. So we'll take a very quick break, and we'll talk through Beachhead Sevens. Okay. And we're back. So that was day one. All of that, including getting lost in Bournemouth and all that kind of stuff, happened on the Saturday. And then we went into the second day. Now, it was a separate tournament because we wanted to make sure that people who could only come on the Sunday or people who could only go on the Saturday wouldn't miss out. This was kind of one of our things that we worry about with two-day tournaments is, you know what, there's a lot of people out there who've got very busy lives and it's quite a commitment. So we had the opportunity to have two different events to really kind of just maximize the opportunity to come down and play. And it also meant that we could sneak in a sevens tournament. So Sevens Sunday was 4 games of sevens at a much smaller window than the 10 till 6. It was 10 till 4, 600 TV, so 600,000 gold pieces, standard 7 build rules applied. There was tiering, there was skills. Tier 1 got 2 skills, Tier 2 got 2 skills and a double, a secondary skill, and Tier 3 got 2 and 2. So Tier 3 teams in sevens would get 2 regular skills and 2 double skills. So there's potential there. Again, the same tiers applied. Now, I know that in sevens, the tiering split doesn't feel right in some cases, but hey, it's the best we've got. And actually, there's whatever system you roll, guys, there's going to be teams that benefit. So if you look at tier 1 right now, right? Amazon, Chaos Dwarf, Dark Elf, Dwarf, High Elf, Lizardman, Norse, Undead, Skaven, Underworld, Wood Elves. Some of them are going to do better with more or less skills than the others. There's always that flex, and the same is true of sevens. But we had, in the end, 44 teams turn up on the day. We had 50 something registered. We had 5 Necro, 4 Skaven, 3 Dark Elf, Human, Lizards, Nobility, and Renegades, 2 Amazons, 2 Black Orcs, 2 Elven Union, 2 Orc, 2 Snotling, 2 Wood Elf, a Chaos Chosen, Goblin, High Elf, Khorne, Norse, Nurgle, Undead, and Underworld. So this one, there was 21 of the 29 different teams available. Only Snotlings and Goblins as tier 3s here, so no Halfling teams, no Ogre teams. But I mean,
yeah, not a huge amount of stunties.
No, really surprising actually. I think sevens is a good place for stunties. I mean, we kind of showed that with our series. So
you get the bench, which sometimes you really want in sevens. So, yeah.
But I guess the new kind of, so there was no Chaos Dwarf, no Dwarf. I get that. Yeah, Halfling, yeah, fine. Ogres are very good, I think. OWA in sevens is a challenging one. I mean, Trips, you're basically our OWA correspondent here as well.
Yeah. It's
being the only one in the world who plays the team.
Yeah, it's the classic. You need 5 positionals to make it work.
Yeah, otherwise you're just better off running one or the other.
You're going to be a bit tight with your players.
So we had no slan on Sunday, and I accosted Orchestra about this. I was like, dude, where's the slan for sevens? Like, come on. He said, you know what, this is one of the first time I'm properly running slan on a tournament, and if I have a horrible day with them Saturday, I do not want to play them again on Sunday.
That's fair.
Yeah. And I was like, he's like, so I'm playing, so I'm taking Skaven because it's like I know what I'm going to get with them. I was like, actually, you know what, that is very fair. And we had no Tomb Kings and no vampires, which, you know, makes a lot of sense. Tier 1, 17 teams, 38%. Tier 2, 24 teams, 55%. And Tier 3 sneaking in there with 7% of the teams. I mean, Tier 2 is probably what you want to push. I like the idea of having more Tier 3 teams, but I wouldn't really want to give a team 5 skills in sevens. That's just getting into it seems unnecessary. But what it did do is it meant that almost every team you could run and have a good time with at sevens, and I'm chuffed with that. I mean, were you guys surprised by the splits in any way, other than the lack of stunties?
Again, just the lack of Khemri and Chaos Dwarf. Like, I think those 2 teams that we see quite often in tournaments, especially recently in the new edition.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So there should have been a Khemri team on Sunday. Joe Solo. registered Khemri team,
Oh,
too hungover to play.
yeah. That happened with
Was
the
his
people.
birthday?
So
Some people intentionally knew they would be and didn't play in sevens. So
oh, you and I were quite worried about staying over in Bournemouth and whether or not we were going to be suitable for running a
yeah,
tournament the
exactly.
day after. That was a desperate caffeine morning. After the haunted hotel and the alarms going off. But no, I mean, 5 Necro, Skaven. Right, Necro, Skaven, Dark Elf, Human, Lizards. Yeah, they're all great in sevens. They feel great in sevens because you've got basically all the toolkit. Lizardmen don't have the ball handling skills, but they've got both strength and insane speed, which makes Lizards a great team. 3 Nobility. There were some really different builds. We had the Ogre build. We had like just stuff. And Renegades really well represented this weekend. Chuffed with that. So good Black Orc teams in there as well. Some Elven Union dancing around and Orcs just doing Orc stuff. You look at this roster here, and every team here has got a good couple of builds for sevens. I think that's why it's so good. I mean, there's no team that has a bad build, with the exception of Nurgle. But I think we're going to come to that in a second, because that was I think that was Scarfang, you know. And it was, yeah. Okay, so results after round 4, because our sevens event was 4 rounds. We had Lizardmen, Daryl McFedrin coming first with 97 points. Now, 97 points. We had a slightly different scoring system in sevens. It was 20 points for a win. Everything else was the same. So instead of 30 points, it was 20 points. And that's because we were doing an overall tournament weekend winner when it comes to total points. So we didn't necessarily want people to be able to score 120 points for the sevens day. We wanted to kind of even it out. So it's 20 points apiece. So that's got to be a 4-0, right, Ben? For Daryl McFedrin there? At 97 points?
I believe it was.
And then, so 97 points. Then Bob Davies, Puckster with Necromantic in second place. Skaven third. Michael Jones, Laracian. James Scarfang with Vanilla at Nurgle here. And we're going to look at these rosters in a second. And we had another Necro at 5 with Baron 1. All close. I mean, the top 3 players, 97, 94, and then 82. So Lizards, Necro, Skaven, and Nurgle doing really well. Let's have a quick look at some of the rosters. Let's delve into them a little bit deeper, because the sevens, it's not going to take us very long at all. So Daryl's roster was a Croxagore, a Saurus, another Saurus, and 3 Skinks. No rerolls, 1 assistant coach coming in at 595, 2 block Sauruses. That was the skills. You got 3 movement 8 stunty dudes, 2 strength 4 blockers, another strength 4 blocker, and then a Croxagore. It's just, you got speed, you got strength. We saw a lot of Lizardman rosters. I mean, they make sense to me. What do you guys reckon to this one?
We've always known Lizards are strong in sevens. The Skinks are just a hell of a scoring threat at their cost. The fact you can have 3 of them and then the strength 4 to back them up. I love Lizards. I really want to play this at some point.
Yeah. So
And we should give Daryl real credit, because he's 6 months into playing Blood Bowl. So that's not bad for this. And I think he turned up Sunday morning having been exhausted by his first day of 11s on Saturday night, and he was umming play or not. I think he made the right choice to play sevens, and he played that team really well.
yeah, I did.
He knew he was in a pressure situation from game 2 all the way through the day, and everyone went after him, and he held it.
Awesome.
Is it worth saying now as well that Daryl took the overall winner as well?
Yeah. How many points overall was he at the end?
He had 97.
Yeah.
Plus, I think it was it 168 overall?
That's an incredible outing. That's such a good result. I really do like linked events with points totals, because
81 on Saturday.
It just, I mean, you can spike a tournament, but then to come up with that amount of points consistently 6 months in, I mean, Daryl's a lovely guy as well. So do you know what? Everybody on both of these days was so much fun. It was just really great. We're either just desperate to help us out, like, hey, can I tidy up? Hey, do you need some help putting stuff out? What can I do? It was just awesome. Like, it was just absolutely awesome.
It means a lot.
I've just gutted we can spend a little bit more time. So Puckster came second with Necro. We had Werewolf, Wraith, Ghoul Runner, Zombie, no rerolls, no gear. One assistant coach, bang on 600, 2 block werewolves and a tackle wraith. So this team being tier 2 gets them 3 skills. Tackle wraith is a great one. Nice safety, positions itself really well in sevens. But dude, 2 werewolves with block, that's huge coverage. Necro just terrify me. But then I that's probably because actually I play every team like Skaven, so I have invariably got somebody open somewhere who I need, and werewolves are like a massive rock paper scissors I'm going to eat you fest.
It's a lot of money in sevens though. Is it 280k? Oh no, 240k for.
Yeah, I mean you're 250 for the werewolves alone.
250.
Of course, they're 125 now, aren't they?
Yeah. With the wraith is a decent player, so 3 blockers, 2 of them are movement, 8 with strength, with frenzy. And that wraith with tackle is a great safety as well. I mean, that's defense. That's huge. And then you've got the ghoul with dodge for movement 7 and 2 movement 8 pieces as well. That's a significant scoring threat. I think that's a really solid build. Really like that one. And then third place we had Lauratian with Skaven, Blitzer, Runner, Thrower, Lyman, and a reroll, I think. Block on a gutter runner and block on a thrower. So the old Milton build. But I mean, 4 blockers then. Everybody's movement 7 or movement 9. You've got a dodge piece, you've got pass, short hands, and a team reroll. Skaven in sevens, they're so flexible.
Like we said with the scoring threats, it's those movements just are force multiplied in sevens when you have these movement 8 and 9 piece. Really, really scary.
Yeah,
you get a high kick into the mid zone and you're in trouble.
Yeah, and you're not relying on 1 or 2 players moving around. With a team like that, you can swarm like your snotlings, but they don't fall over and go squish.
Yeah, everybody's a catcher when you're movement 7. We'll just look at a couple more rosters. Got to get Scarfang's Nurgle roster in here. So Scarfang's whole mission this weekend was to prove that Nurgle can still win, that vanilla Nurgle can still do really well. Ended up flipping top 10, top 5 of the 11s tournament, and then 4th in sevens. Bloater.
Overall third, I think.
Overall third. That's insane. So Nurgle were tier 2, so 2 primaries and a secondary. Bloater, Pestigore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 linemen, so 9 players here. 2 guard bloaters and a leader Pestigore there. You look at that roster and I think I don't know, it feels a bit suboptimal. Like, the bloaters are slow, you've got guard. Guard is useful, but it's not always amazing in sevens. And leader on your Pestigore, and your Pestigore is your scoring threat. And you think, well, no, got kind of slow. All wrong. Scarfang played tight, great positioning, used that guard to just get the Pestigore and the Rotters to just, one well-positioned guard piece. And if you can make a Rotter strength 4, that is game-changing. And 2 bloaters, you've got two pairs of strength 4 players. The clever thing here, and I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't how it played out on the pitch sometimes, is that bloater in conjunction with a rotter, you're essentially sneaking an extra positional with those guard pieces, because that gives you 5 strength 4 players and a Pestigore, and that can be pretty strong on the pitch. I blooming love sevens. I absolutely love sevens. Sevens is so good. It's my absolute favourite. What else do we have?
You should mention it sometimes.
Oh, and Gary. I had to put Gary's in here as well. So we had Daryl win. We had Bob Davies with the Necro for second. We had Michael Jones with Skaven. Scarfang Nurgle there. Stunty Cup went to Gary. Gary's a madman. Travels down for our tournaments. Always brings some nonsense. I think this was Pump Wagon Troll. So Snotling roster here. Train Troll, Pump Wagon, Flinger, a million Snotlings. Did he even have enough cash for a reroll? No rerolls. Went with Strong Arm on a Troll, Block on a Troll, Pile Driver on the Pump Wagon. I think that's potentially brilliant in sevens. As you get a really solid blitz there with no Loner. No, Loner doesn't mean anything in sevens, but Jugs and just the ability to Mighty Blow +1, then Dirty Player +1. You should be able to just take somebody out. and an accurate fungus flinger to just absolute maximize the
love it.
bombing disasters. It's just such a good roster. Thought that was really good fun.
And paid off.
Yeah, and ended up winning Stunty Cup, which I'm so happy with because that's just such good fun. And a really good mix here. So Lizards, Necro, Skaven, Nurgle, Necro top 5. Xavier Disley, Doc Miniature with Elf Union came in 6th and won best team with a beautiful Elven Union team with a really beautiful display board as well. But the team was painted really lovely. So best team, we asked people to leave them out over the lunch break and let people vote. That's one thing that was flagged up on day one, is that there wasn't enough time in the lunch tray. Everything was too busy to get around and have a proper look. We still had plenty of votes, but I felt like there were more votes on day 2 because there was a little bit more time, a little bit more space. So a really close combat. There was a couple of other teams that did very well in that competition as well. John Allen with Dark Elves, number 7. Pierrick Dubois with Necromantic Horror came in 8th. Simon Warrener with Renegades for 9. Drew Creedy with Humans at 10. Graham Pickett, who didn't run Dwarves, he actually ran Chaos. Which was that's my fault. I just assumed that Graham would be running Dwarves all the time, and he wasn't. That was me. Sorry, Graham. But you really should be branding dwarfs. Rich Allsworth with Norse for 12. Logan Creedy at 13. Logan was hard fought this weekend.
Yeah, it's worth shouting out. Logan really put in a lot of work there, and during the 7th round just had a real bad 4-1s in a row that really just threw it, and you can't do much against.
Nah, I mean,
it really was going over for the overall trophy there. So well done to Logan.
Yeah. Sarah Jane Priest with Elf Union coming in 14th out of 44 on this day. We were so excited because she won her first round. It was like a 2-0 or something, and we were like, "Oh wow, this is amazing!" And then 60 points must have gone on to win at least another round, maybe 2-1-1 for the day.
It was 2-1 followed by a sorry.
No.
Followed by a 3-0 loss, unfortunately.
Oh wow! But that's just.
However, did pull it back with a 2-2, and then it was a 2-1. Yeah. So win, loss, draw, win.
Oh, that's so good. Christopher Stevenson with Skaven came in 15th. Charles Nurser with Lizardman in 16th. Jonathan Basie G with Blackhawks. Jamie Mortimer with Underworld. Gareth Harris with Imperial Nobility. We'll come back to Gareth in a minute. David Thompson with Orcs. AJ with Amazons. Richard Alderson with Necromantic Horror. Orkster with Skaven on the day came in 23rd. If only you'd run Slan, Orkster. 24th, Jonathan Redmond with Khorne. Great to see Khorne on the Sevens pitch. That's scary. Simon Malpass with Wood Elves 25. Paul Harmer with Humans 26. 27, James Fawkes with Dark Elves. Wood Elves with Alex Evans 28. Lee Doherty with Black Orcs 29. 30, James Priest with Lizards. 31, Barry Nixon with Imperial Nobility. 32, Jack Crosswellow Quackers with Necro again. Callum Mills 33 with Elves. Stephen Padley, Dark Elves 34. David Priest with Chaos Chosen at 35. Chris Crawford 36th with Orcs. Gary Doherty with Snotlings 37th, but still taking the Stunty Trophy. Paul Harrison McSnagger with Skaven 38. Jason Thorne with Goblins. Luke Down with Nobility. Jake Homewood with Shambling Undead. Aaron with Amazons, and then Lee Pollitt with Snotlings, and Adam Pike with Nurgle. Didn't go for the fouling times this time, but did win the participation trophy. So most casualties went to Barry with Nobility with 10, and Dirty Player. This was great. So this was awesome. This was Gareth Nobility. Ian, talk us through this.
So Gareth had the unfortunateness, or depending on which way you look at it, to run into Adam, and remembered Adam well from day one, and managed to get 8 fouls in a Sevens game, which was by far and away the most fouling there was. There was a real kicking of the by his nobility team, and you've got to give a shout out. He got 2 fouls with an ogre.
It was,
which is if you're going to do it, that's how you do
commit.
it in style.
So this was a proper villain origin story, and it was so cool to see this unfold because it just got a proper kicking. Literally the day before, I was like, nah, I'm not having this. Getting my own back. I don't care if it throws my game. Ogre, everybody's fouling. Just what an excellent way to bring it back. Just that revenge dirty player.
Yeah, Adam, I think handed the slip back with just sort of a look on his face, and we're just like, yeah, I deserve that. It was just like, I can't expect anything else really.
You see 8 fouls and you're like, oh, they're working hard. Then you remember that it's sevens. You're not always going to get a chance to foul, and there's only 12 turns, and it's like, oh, okay. And then he mentioned 2 of them with my ogre. It's like, wow, absolute commitment to the cause. I thought it was absolutely superb. I love this. And this is one of my favourite things about these tournaments, is you get these little stories, and it was so good being able to have that carryover. But I mean, sevens is a shot of Blood Bowl, and that Saturday the tournament hall was packed. We had 60 plus players, and it was combat. And then sevens on Sunday, 4 rounds. We took away a bunch of tables because we didn't need the double width table. The individual, I think this was Scarf. Was it Scarf McSnagget? Yeah, it was Paul who suggested this, because we had like double lunch tables across for the full 11s pitch. He was like, don't need them, just roll one, then you don't have to lean across. Excellent piece of advice. So we collapsed half the tables down, and it worked brilliantly. Players had more space. And I don't know if it was just because we'd gone through the big day on Saturday, because you recognise the majority of the coaches. There was 44, and I think 30 something of them had played on the Saturday. So you knew where stuff was. You knew who people were. Mm-hmm. We had a bit more time. I thought Sunday was absolutely brilliant. The chill, the story, the gameplay.
It's chill from us. We weren't playing.
That is very true.
There was some real. I'm sure there was some real
atmosphere.
Coming out.
It was so much more like a club night almost. I think people knowing each other, that being a bit closer. No stars, I think, makes a big difference. And I mean, we've seen it with sevens before, but it's a quick game, and you have a bad couple of turns in sevens, and it's okay, because in 40 minutes time you're going to be done with that game and thinking about the next one.
Yeah, you're going to be having a bad time on the next pitch. But I thought it was great. I mean, it was a brilliant way to end it. I really liked having both the different formats in one weekend. I know that a lot of places do a 2-day tournament with essentially 6 rounds of Blood Bowl, 5 or 6 rounds of Blood Bowl. But I thought it was really good to have the 2 different events tied together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am massively biased because I think sevens is just the best way to play Blood Bowl anyway, because I am just convinced of it. But there was palpable gravitas on that Saturday. It was a coliseum. It was awesome. It was just an absolutely epic experience. Was there anything you think we could have done differently on the Sunday, guys? The tables was a good shout.
I think it was good. I think the fact we wrapped up early was good, and I think that was well received by quite a lot of people. It was not. While we did say having a longer breaks on the 11s could have been really good, I think on the sevens it was good that we did finish early and we didn't have these longer breaks. Because lets people get home, especially people who are have long trips and catching flights and things.
And some of the games, were finished quickly on the second day, and people didn't have that long gap. I think we've got to say a massive shout out to all the players on Sunday. We were seriously worried about having enough pitches to run a sevens tournament with that many players, and everyone delved deep into the backpacks and round the cars and found the pitches. And Entoyment was raided of anything that approachingly looked like a sevens pitch on the stand as well. So thanks to all the coaches for that. We had a lot for Sunday, and it really worked well with the time and effort that the players had gone to the teams, and looking around at the teams out on the pitches for best team at lunch was really impressive.
Yeah, I took photos of all of them on both days, so I'll put the little videos in over one of these segments as well. I really tournaments are really interesting for me. The cultural aspect of it is incredible because you've got such a mix of the whys and the wheres. Why are people there? How long are they there for? Where are they coming from? Where are they going? You got kids, you got family guys with young families that need to disappear and can't be there massive. So our normal tournament thing is rock up 10 o'clock first round, done by 6, so you can get back to whatever you're doing. But that Saturday, actually, I think if we timed it out better because of the BIC, we'd probably end up doing 9:30, 6:30, on the next one, to give enough time with a little bit of extra breaks, just to make sure that they've got that extra 15 minutes at lunch and that 15 minutes extra between rounds to make sure that everything's okay, because it takes a lot longer for 60, 70 players to find where they're going than it does when you've got 30. That's just a baked in cost that actually I hadn't considered when we did the timing. So timing's what we'd normally use for all of our other tournaments, but actually the more, there's always a bleed of time. So I think that's something we can definitely learn from. I mean, and then balancing that desire to be there all weekend as a getaway versus I can only come to the Saturday and pop down. I don't know if I will ever be able to figure out the sweet spot, because it means so many different things to so many different people, and just massive props to all the people who travelled for an event and for 2 days, and it's just so awesome. And I'm really happy that there's so many people that could pop across and so many people who travelled down. It's just amazing. It just really is. The first time I've stayed away for a gaming event, even when Ian and I went up to Warhammer World, we were done by 9 o'clock, and I was like, "Do you want us to go home? Because we'll be home just after midnight." Okay. And I have a driving problem, so when Tiff and I were due to come back from Scotland, we went to bed and it was 11:30 and neither of us could sleep, and I just said, "Do you want to just go home?" And then we just drove 8 hours back through the middle of the night. So I was like, "Oh, might as well just go now." So I'm a bit weird when it comes to that, but actually, I don't know, man. After going out, having beers with people on that Saturday night and being right there at the venue, it was really good fun, and I'd really like to do that again sometime.
It was
I look forward to the next one.
Loads of people in the same place, all sharing a passion, and everyone was there to have fun and have a good time. So really great atmosphere from everybody, and hopefully lots of people met new people and enjoyed spending time with them.
Yeah, it was wicked. Now, guys, before we move on to the last bit, which is what's next, which will only take a couple of minutes, anything else you want to touch on for the tournament weekend?
I think we covered a lot of it. I think, just to everyone knows.
I think, isn't it great to see tournaments of a decent size coming back, and no additional rules of tables of 6 and all of those variants that we've been through over the last couple of years, rules of Blood Bowl and variants of other things. So
much. And now we can start planning these events. We can start committing to them. We're going to have a lot of fun. And that leads to the next segment, which is what's next from us. So tournament-wise, for the rest of this year and probably next year, this is what we've got coming up. So Dorset Dungeon Bowl on the 7th of May is already out there. We've sold half the tickets already. It's going to be at Entoyment. We're providing the dungeon pitches, so you don't need to worry about that. You just need to bring a team, and it can be regular teams or college teams. So if you've got a Norse team, if you've got a Halfling team, you do not need to worry about having a dungeon or having a Dungeon Bowl team. You can just bring your standard team. So get your tickets booked up for that, because I'm really hoping that I think we'll probably sell out. And I think just the prospect of having 40 people playing for a proper trophy, the proper Dungeon Bowl trophy that we're going to have, is going to be absolutely buzzing. Super excited for that one. Then you two are going to be piloting the South Coast series. So the South Coast series is it's like a mini Beachhead. It's tournaments without traders. There's going to be some traders, but not a huge amount of traders. And that's going to be at the BIC in July, 9th of July. It's going to be an 11s event. I'm going to be in Italy on my proper honeymoon. With the in-laws, which is a twist that I was not quite expecting. However, bless them, they did pay, so that's fine. So I'll be in Sorrento. So this is going to be you two piloting the South Coast Series. One day BIC 11s. Feeling good about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's 20 weeks to go.
Yeah, I need not really thinking about prep for that. It should be good. Should be good.
It'll be good. It'll be
Going
really
to rely on everyone being amazing again. So
I think with the lessons that you guys learned on my behalf for this one, I think it'll be fluid. And I think, well, you've already decided Milton's going to be helping, haven't we? I'm not sure we've told him, but well, he's drunk at a Mexican restaurant stuck in Scotland right now because of the weather. So we could probably phone him and ask him now. I think
in which case he definitely volunteered about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, good job, Miltonio Banderas. Then we've got 2 more events coming up this year after the July one. We've got a Sevens event on 24th of September at Entoyment. And then we've got Bonehead Bowl 22, which will also be at Entoyment 26th of November with mixed teams for the first time. I think, first time since this edition's come out. So we will get brewing up with those rules. South Coast and Dungeon Bowl already agreed by the NAF, already approved, already processed. So that is good to go. The South Coast Series tickets will be on the Entoyment website because it is one of those Beachhead style events. And I think Pete is going to try and get them up this month because they've got money off for people who played in Beachhead. All the Entoyment events will be on our website. And then next year, we're planning on doing both days for Beachhead again. We're planning on doing another Dungeon Bowl event at Entoyment again. We're planning on doing South Coast Series. Whether we do 1 or 2 days in the summer depends very much on where the World Cup is going to be, where the Blood Bowl World Cup is going to be, and whether or not we can go, and whether we do go, whether we don't go. Obviously, guys, I would love to go to the World Cup to play Blood Bowl. I'd really love to go and do coverage. But I'm also very aware that there's going to be a load of people who can't afford to go abroad to play Blood Bowl at the World Cup. So actually, if we decide it's too much, it can't be done, we have done a really good job of upsetting Europe. That might make it more challenging for us to travel over. But it's going to be either France or Spain. Then I don't know, we might make the South Coast Series a 2-dayer. We don't know when the World Cup's going to be. We don't know where the World Cup's going to be. So we'll have to, that'll play by ear. And then we are planning on having another Sevens event and another Bonehead Bowl event. And so, yeah, we're looking at 5 events, 6 to 7 tournaments each year for the next 2 years at the moment.
Will you also just say, with Bonehead Bowl, with it being mixed teams, just after Dungeon Bowl, that's a 2-for-1. Yeah, if you come to Dungeon Bowl with your Dungeon Bowl team, you've got a mixed team ready to go for Bonehead Bowl. So do bear that in mind.
Basically, yeah. Wayne was talking to me the other day at the tournament. He was like, when are you going to do the mixed tournament again? Because I didn't get a chance to come to one, and I've got some filthy brew ideas.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, well, Wayne, what you need is another good way to win. But no, I think this is cool. We've got 2 11s, 2 7s, and 2 sillies, which I think is a great mix. And half of them are Entoyment, which is cheap, easy. You order food at the table while you're gaming and they bring it to you. I blooming love it. And then you've got...
I love that.
Right, oh, it's so good, right? Like, we're there at the BIC. We're like, well, we've got 30 minutes. We need to get to the bar and queue and wait for the food and then pay, for a hot dog. And then you're, a couple of months later, you're in Entoyment playing Dungeon Bowl and you're like, oh, I'm getting a bit snacky. I fancy a cup of tea. Scan the QR code and Carl will shuffle up in about 7 minutes with your goods and be like, hello, got some stuff for you. It's amazing. It's the best. I love Entoyment so much. It's just so good. They bring me tea to my table. It makes me so happy. Anyway, so we got a ton of good stuff coming. I've got a call with Pete as well to test out their Wi-Fi soon, so that we can hopefully, I'm really hoping, this depends on multiple things, I'm hoping we can stream the Dungeon Bowl event in Entoyment. That would be primo.
That would be good.
yeah, we've got 2.5 months to get it squared away. Got the dungeon maps good to go. We can get them ordered at the end of this month. That gives us 2 months to do that. We're planning out. It's looking good. That means we're going to get to hopefully spend a whole month playing with technology, and it's going to be the same tech that we are using to film the Dungeon Bowl series. So it should align. I'm thinking, guys, that we might use the RPG room. Either.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Good.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I want to do coverage, but I kind of want to keep the. You don't really want to do coverage while you're sat next to the people who are playing, because that can be
distracting. Yeah,
distracting is a very polite way of doing it. Yeah, but you don't want to be on the telestrator being like, "Oh no, he's left it wide open here," and just hear them go, "Where? What have I done?"
Well, I don't know. Put the top table down there and consistently tell them how close they are to racking up the points or not, and we can see some coaches sweat.
Yeah, it could be interesting. But the RPG room, even if one thing I was thinking is actually, depending on how Entoyment's laid out, and this is what I need to sort out with Pete, is if the table the other side of the RPG room.
Oh, you got a little. Oh, sorry, that's like dreamy. You've got a little announcer's booth. Oh,
yes,
incredible.
But we should, because of everything we use is all just USB cables for the actual filming.
Yeah.
Assuming they've got standard like office roof access, they may even have, I'm assuming that's the best I could do, we could chuck the USB cables through the roof. We could have the booth set up in the RPG room, top tables just next door. They're playing a standard game. We can then cast it from the booth with the feature match table. Yeah, but got to go over there. In fact, Trips, I'm going to be in Toyment tomorrow picking up our Warcry stuff, so I'll be sure to have a nose, and hopefully I can have a catch up with Pete about, hey, how good's your internet, and how would you feel about us using your e-commerce line? Probably not good, but yeah, we'll see what we can do, because that would be so sweet. Because then everything we do at Entoyment, we could then stream. The BIC though, really challenging. I had a chat with I think it was Alex from the Adeptus Titanicus crew. Or 40k Adam, one of the two, and they said actually getting a dedicated decent internet at the BIC was like $2,000 or something. We'd need a serious Kickstarter for that, so yeah, that would be a bit of a shame. The only thing I can think of is that we might be able to find a way to get a 5G hub to do some streaming, but then the volume was so loud in there.
Say the volume, you can hear about 3 people left or right, and that's about it.
Yeah, but
we had 400 or 500 gamers in a room playing. It's a great noise, but it's noisy.
Yeah, we'd have to figure out a nice way to do it. I went so far as to have a look to see how they did it for the Magic the Gathering tournaments they used to do, which was like hundreds of gamers as well. Significantly quieter game, but they have a feature match area that is just away. So they had a feature match area the size of our area for 8 matches. So they could do that stuff, and they had a booth that was separate in a different zone. Oh my god, you know how it could work? If we had the corner booth again, we put the casting booth round the corner through that door. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but it's just because if you can't come to a tournament, but we could stream the games, it just, I don't know, man, it would just be so good. Because I can't always get to tournaments I want to go to because of the real world. I'm very lucky. I don't have a huge amount of commitments at the moment, but I do have some. And just, I don't know. Anyway, lots of exciting stuff coming, and lots of Ben and Ian kind of keeping me grounded, / Ian keeping Ben and Ben grounded. Because
yeah, I was going to say, I don't do you any favours, mate.
No. Ian, you've got a very busy year and a half.
Counting of time. I'll stick to that.
Right. Anyway, I think we should probably wrap up because it is nearly tomorrow. So, guys, thank you so much. Sorry for the delays. Sorry for the power cuts. And thank you so much, Ian and Ben, for all of your hard work for these 2 tournaments. And I think this is a real stepping stone. And everybody out there who came to Beachhead, has come to one of our tournaments before, is planning on coming to one of our tournaments in the future. The only thing we care about is our players having a good time. And if you've got suggestions, if you've got recommendations, wish lists, that's what we want to know about. How can we do it better? what have you seen somewhere else that's worked? What should we be looking at? Because we just want people to have an immersive and fun time, because Blood Bowl is a great game, and if we can make it special on top of being a great game, then actually that doesn't exist. So let's go make it. That's what we should be doing. That's the goal here. And I really want some great ideas. And if you don't give me ideas that are good enough to make Ian sweat, you're not trying hard enough. Because, just Ben and I got some. But yeah, Ian, thank you so much. Ben, thank you so much, guys.
No problem.
Always a pleasure.
No, cool. Right, we're going to wrap up now, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead Podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.